Yeah.
All righty, we are live. Welcome to the Ghettos of the Mind podcast web show. This is episode 35, and as I'm looking now, it don't look right. it looks the same. I'm gonna go back to it before. So what's going on? We got a few people. We got some old folks here and some new people here, or some long time people who've been here.
Ologists in the house.
Mr. Hardy's there.
Truck Hardy's
there.
And Tariq, he's not Ghost because he been gone for a minute.
I know. Who's this other guy that's here? This strange fellow that's here now. It's in the background.
DJ,
you want to introduce yourself, man?
Yeah, I'm here. You got DJ Elliott, the inevitable do funk. I'm in the house.
All right. So we're back again. We're still at it once again.
Been a while.
I know, man. I know. About time, man. We're trying to get you on, man.
He's had prior obligations.
Yeah, texting for 8 hours a day, man.
Nice political response for retirement. I got other obligations. Like I've been working hard at sipping that dang iced tea and stuff.
Man, I wake up like 4 o'clock in the morning, man.
No, we don't because we get the text, brother.
So I had to give my kids a crash course in Econ Inflation 101 because they're trying to understand how to correlate people getting higher salaries, which means that they have more money to spend, correlates to higher prices.
Well, how everything has doubled in the last year.
So like they're saying, isn't it a good thing that people have a higher salary?
So,
and there are less people unemployed?
So you think that the higher prices are attributed to higher wages?
No, higher wages, like the value of the dollar has decreased.
Yeah, you're getting higher wages. Everything costs more.
Probably the late 60s to the present. So higher salary doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
right. If you got a wage increase, the inflation level is higher than the cost of living increase or any wage increase they might have got. So basically, they're losing money.
So can I give you an economic scenario? And I could be wrong. So employer A is going to pay their employees $18 an hour, right? Minimum wage was 11, but with cost of living, so now they're getting paid $18 an hour. So, and now the products that he produces, Kellogg, General Mills, don't they have to increase the price of those products to help pay for the salaries of the higher salaries for the employees?
Well, that's not the true factor why they increased the products. The bottom line is they increased the price of the products because the investors have to have an increase. You understand what I'm saying? The stockholders, the investors have to have make a profit.
Right.
Back in the days, like mom and pop business, privately owned businesses, even if it would cost them more money and they were making less, but they were still, in the black and they could sustain and they could try to make it to a point where they could increase their revenue without taking the current loss that they're taking, they would do that. But
not pushing on to the consumer.
Yeah, now everything's passed on to the consumer because companies are accountable to the stockholders, not for the general good or the general public.
And the oil and gas thing ain't helping.
No, it is not. It is not helping.
Well, that's the power.
Rough times, man. It's rough times.
No,
would it be what's the word I'm looking for? a combination of various things that have caused inflation, meaning I think the stimulus plus maybe increased wages plus corporations having to make a profit plus the supply chain
issues. You know, those things all play into it. Those things all play into it.
Yeah,
it's like you can get a job, but your dollar doesn't go as far. You know.
No, I mean the people at the top. I mean, corporations that made record profits during the pandemic, but it's everybody underneath that has suffered.
Yeah,
because everything is going up for for us, and you still need your basic amenities.
So what's the solution?
The board approves if there's whatever
for the pandemic to stay. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I guess the board of trustees for any corporation, they are the ones that's going to approve whether or not a CEO or whatever is going to get a bonus. How much money they're gonna make in that year based on how the company did. But they vote on a lot of things. They vote for their own increase. We got I think right here in Connecticut, didn't our state legislators vote on an increase on their salaries? I think they all did.
I'm pretty sure that they would. I don't know if any legislature is going to vote to not raise.
They're not
going to
just let us get our increase and not get some too.
Yeah, they were only making like 20 something $1,000 a year by showing up there, and they voted themselves an increase taxpayers' dollars.
Hey, that's not a full-time job, is it?
I think you can explain it to your kids this way. I don't know how old your kids are, but just use fast food as an example. Like, because of the pandemic, but with the pandemic, the Great Resignation, the supply chain issues, big corporations like fast food chains have to make money. The pandemic hit, it killed the mom and pop local businesses. They couldn't stay afloat. They had to close down. So just let's say 2.5 years ago, you go to McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, KFC, Popeyes, you could probably spend about $5 to $7 per person for a meal. Now you're spending about 10.
Right.
Yeah.
All the meals are about $10.
Because think about everything.
You want a burger, you want some fries, you want a drink, $10.
And you think the supply chain, with the increase of gas, everything goes up. So
and the fact
trucks have to deliver all the goods here. They're going to charge more because they have charge more for diesel fuel, which means they're going to pass on to you. So,
and just to use like McDonald's as an example, right before the pandemic hit, McDonald's started serving breakfast all day. They could produce, they could give you a smaller sandwich, an egg McMuffin, a McGriddle. They would charge you about $8 for the coffee or the orange juice, the milk, the sandwich, and a hash brown. The supply chain, the pandemic issues happened, and McDonald's couldn't serve breakfast every day and make a higher profit selling less goods than what they were doing.
Right.
So I'll go better than that.
Go ahead.
During the pandemic, there was a shutdown, and of course, people were not coming into work. And to get people to come into work, you would have to, because everybody would have to pay more wages for those individuals, and unemployment. We were paying people more to stay home than to come to work.
Yep, this is all everything kind of keysing together. Everything sort of fits together. So, in early news this week, I'm sure everyone has heard about the Amber and Johnny story. The verdict between Amber Heard and Johnny Depp was rendered. Apparently, it's a victory for Johnny Depp. He won. Got 15. Is it 15 million? I think he got.
But they reduced it down to like 10 point something million.
And she has to pay 2, but it's sort of a split win, but it's more or less on his side. And I tried to ignore this thing for as long as possible. It was on like all the channels, and you could watch it live on YouTube, like it was every day. And I tried to ignore it, but it was hard to, and because it was just so crazy, man. I just couldn't, just hear about she shit on his bed or something. And
so I'm gonna tell you why I didn't believe her. I'm gonna tell you why I didn't believe her off the
Why didn't you believe her?
Because rather than her, you know what Johnny Depp did? Johnny Depp sued her, right? Why didn't she do that? Rather than writing an op-ed.
Sue him for what? In general?
Yeah.
Okay, I think
so.
I know why, but finish your point.
So rather than write an article, rather than sue him, she wrote an article, anonymous op-ed or whatever, basically accusing him of mistreating her, abusing her, or whatever. If you had that rock solid evidence, then fucking sue him in civil court. You could, if you couldn't bring criminal charges, but do what he did. I'm gonna sue your ass.
Well, he sued her for defamation. That's because he, her op-ed, he claimed that it hurt his chances of, it got him booted off of Pirates of the Caribbean.
Right. But what did she gain by doing an op-ed?
Okay. Here's my point. Here's what. That op-ed came out about the same time she starred in Aquaman.
Right.
I think, this is just my male opinion, that I think she was trying to leverage the Me Too, the goodwill of Me Too for her favor. And there's too many holes in the story. She told too many lies. Their relationship was just toxic. And she was just as toxic as him. And she thought that she could leverage this into something for her to make us a sort of martyr figure for her. But she's not. She's clearly out for her own gain and had some skin in the game for her. So I think that she was trying to leverage it. And I think what happened was
more dirt came out than she thought. Huh?
Well,
I think that is
she pushed too far for it. You know what I mean? She pushed too far. Because think about it. She got a divorce from the guy. She got like $7 million, I think, at that time. So it's not like she was, it's not like she was hurting for money, and she's in a blockbuster movie and going to be in a sequel. And so it's obvious that she was doing it for clout, essentially, I believe. And then you look afterwards, who is she dating after she divorces Johnny Depp? Elon Musk. Come on, man.
Yeah.
She was a social climber, and she got caught up in, and he had good lawyers, and his lawyers they took her to task. And
I think it's just gender roles in our society. He did what white men do, and the systems that benefit them. He sued her. She tried to play, like you say, the Me Too movement and play like he abused me, this, that, the other, and tried to play the white woman Karen card, and didn't work. It
didn't work at all, man. And it didn't work at all. I do you think? So here's my other question, and maybe I'll ask you this, DJ. Do you think that this is this Amber Heard's loss hurts the Me Too movement?
I think Me Too movement has lost a lot of
credibility
a long time, way before this. I think the Black Lives, the Me Too movement, as far as how people look at the movement, I think it has lost a lot of its motivation, or the people who are interested in that movement and everything. I think this one lady, I think she works for the Times, Washington Times, and she showed up at somebody's door and started doxing this person, and as soon as someone did it to her, she started crying on TV, talking about people putting her life at risk and everything. But she was known for doxing people and everything. So I think even before this, I think that it lost a lot. Me Too movement is not nearly as popular as it was 2016.
Yeah. What say you? Mr. Hardy or ologist or less? What say you folks? Do you think this is the end of Me Too, or
I think there's a limit to anything that's politically correct, though, right? So I think there's a lot of politically correct movements that you got to just be careful because people go too far with them, right? Yeah. And this Me Too is kind of the same thing, right? You go too far, right? And I don't know who has, so if you have a brother, if you have a cousin, or if you have a son, right? A female can easily come up and say this, that, or the other, right? And then you're busy defending yourself, right? And that can happen to anybody, right? And if we all mess with certain females. Certain females just crazy as hell, right? And they just gonna do shit out of spite, right? So, and I think that goes across all racial boundaries or whatever, right? A lot of women do things out of spite. So yeah, I think I agree with DJ. I think I think it's losing a lot of momentum.
I do think that this case is a loss for Amber Heard. Like this, I think she's the reason why her case she didn't win her case. It's not a case of Me Too, because she had really been abused and she had like, I don't know, photos. She went to the police, he would have, come on, Johnny Depp would have been done. Right. But obviously there's so many lies that she told, so many mistruths and things that were found out. And then she had a bad lawyer. Her lawyer was just trash. I don't know where she got the lawyer from. But
and then the public finds out that she's just a filthy pig.
Right.
That, she's shit in the bed and all that.
When I heard that part, I couldn't believe it. I still couldn't believe it. Did she really shit in his bed?
Did she admit to it? Did she admit to it?
She apparently she claims it's her dog. I'm like, what kind of dog you got? A German Shepherd? And it's just, I don't know. I do think, what I think, how Me Too I think was really hurt is the whole believe all women. That thing is kind of something that you see some of the holes or the limits of that, And it's like, okay, yeah, I understand if a woman gets abused or some guy, she's with some guy and he's abused her and he beats her up and she goes through the whole process, goes to the police and has police reports and all this other stuff. And yeah, of course, I don't think any idiot is going to be like, well, she's lying. But it's like, believe every woman, everything that they say. So anything they say is true, and there's nothing you can do.
No, that's called a political movement. Like we have to get our agenda across. It's not looking at everything as an individual, case by case basis and judging on its merit. We have to win every case to validate and this is not just for Me Too. It's for every political.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Because since we're talking about it, there's another case too. I don't think we talked about it too, about Black Lives Matter. The whole thing with the whole Black Lives Matter with the $6 million house and all that. I'm like,
yeah, you give the opposition just ammunition to discredit something that as organic. The intent may have been great in the beginning, but somewhere along the way they lost their way. And
I mean, I'm not trying to downplay the intent, the agenda or the purpose of Black Lives Matter, but like if you want to get a $6 million office building, you don't buy a like.
Yeah,
didn't I say that, DJ?
Come on now. Come on.
In a gated community that has no crime.
No. But I mean, look. I mean, if you want to be a boss, buy the office building. Put your goddamn home suite up in it if you don't feel like you need to leave, where you have your own little place where you can live and sleep and all of that stuff. That's fine, but have it be a goddamn office building. I'm sorry to be using profanity and all that. But
it's like, exactly in the hood and so everybody can benefit from the donation.
But it's horrible though, actually, if you think about it from a Black person's perspective, for them to do that, right? It kind of sets us back right? Almost like that Jesse Smollett case, right? It's like, you know, it just makes shit harder for us.
I don't know. I wouldn't
for no damn reason.
Jussie Smollett was just a goddamn lie.
But what I'm saying is they
completely boldface lied. At least them they had the money and they used a little bit for something else. And I get it. It's more of a case of it's more of a case of being transparent. You know what I mean? It's like you have in the year 2020, with George Floyd was happening, Black Lives Matter had a wave of goodwill and they got a lot of donations, a lot of money to fill up the coffers. And the problem is that they thought, hey, you know, we could just, you know, not really sneak any off, but use something to buy some things here and what you call it. And we're
some nigga shit. I'll be honest with you.
And what happens is that,
gentlemen,
but you know what though? I don't think it's I wouldn't call it like egregious, like they had to spend all the money, but it's just enough where your enemies will find that and use it against you. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
There are people who
let me give.
Wait a minute. $6 million ain't a little bit of money.
Well, they had 90 million though. They had like
I'm saying.
But what I'm saying is that they should have been more transparent with their money. Say they had built that. Say they had taken $6 million and built a complex. You know, it's huge. You know, community center in the hood. $6 million. That's great.
Let's look. Wait.
You know?
Let's look at this. Let's look at this situation with the variable of time. All of us grew up in the era of, let's just say, Malcolm, Martin, Huey P. Newton, folks for the movement for Black empowerment that lived in the community, worked in the community, subsisted, didn't have extravagant stuff. But in this era, people see like, if I'm the leader, then I need to be living in a certain way, a certain style. You're like, I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying this is the era that we live in. So we have a different perspective on how a leader should be. If this is the cause that you're doing, the cause comes first, and you don't have to have the cause comes first before the shine. Like the current generation shine.
Let me put you like this: with Black Lives Matter in my eyes, I don't mind them drawing a salary to pay their bills and to have make a living. I don't want to see activism go where you look at how Malcolm X how Betty Shabazz lived after enduring when Malcolm X was alive. They barely had a home. Same thing with Martin Luther King.
Even when they were
barely making it. When they were living.
Yeah.
So I want to see people who do good works and are community minded and do community related stuff. You know, make some money, make a living, and what you call it. But when you're not transparent and you take people's money and you use it for what you call it.
You self-enrich yourself.
You're right. Even if it's a little bit, which I don't think it you know, that $6 million compared to what they have is not. You know, they ain't taking all the money. There's worse.
This generation has seen politicians. That's what they do. They enrich them. No. They enrich themselves for allegedly the cause that they're representing. So that's the meme that they're aware of. Yeah. They might be aware of the historical stuff, but they haven't experienced. They haven't lived it. I'm not justifying it, but that's what they have seen. This is how you do it in the current era.
You don't even need to get the politicians. You just need to go to a lot of churches and you'll see.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You know who patterned that? You know who patterned that format? You know who's the one behind? Who's one of the people who really started that? At least in terms of politics.
Who?
Jesse.
Oh yeah.
Jesse, Rainbow Coalition.
Jesse
and Al too. Jesse and Al, because I'm not really that mad at them from that standpoint. What they did was they leveraged, you know, political fight and will and Black anger to get some pay. You know, and sometimes it means shaking to get some money, and sometimes you need to hit people in the pockets. You know. But again, it has to be transparent. If it's not transparent, your enemies use against you.
Yeah, I had posed this question earlier on when it was just me, Mike, and Abstract, Abstract, and Todd. In that it's different era. So the Malcolm and Martin era, in a sense, that was the environment. Those were the limitations and the rules and the context that they could operate in.
Right.
And that's what they did.
And back then you had different organizations, whether it's Black Panthers, you had people holding people, you had checks and balances.
No, but what I'm saying is we didn't have the opportunity to be in integrated communities, this, that, and the other. When Jesse and Reverend Al, they were in that post thing where communities started to integrate. They did, wealthy Black folks could move into certain places, this, that, and the other, and they had it was a different game. The rules had changed, and they were trying to adapt to it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Let's take Al's organization, and he writes a book, and his organization, which is a nonprofit, and take donations from people, and his organization buy $1 million of his book he wrote. That money going straight to him.
Wow.
You talk about the National Action Network?
Yeah.
The organization National Action Network, they bought $1 million worth of his book.
And yeah, and I mean, I agree with you. I think it's a template. You know, it's funny because you have years and years of activism going back. You know, from the 1800s, Frederick Douglass and all of them. They were never they led organizations. They but they fought. But they weren't profiting off it. And I think after the civil rights movement, what happened was that I think the leaders after King, after the Panthers, after Malcolm was killed, you know, the turbulence in the 60s, they realized, they said, look, we can profit off of
I don't know if it's that we can profit.
I think they call it race hustling.
Race hustling.
I don't know.
That's what they call
it. I don't know if they realize they can profit off of it, or they realize that for the movement to be effective, we got to have a certain level of finances to fight this fight.
Yeah, I don't totally begrudge it. Because think about it. If I don't know, Al Sharpton, you know, boycotts, you know, some company that's what you call it, and that company has called out some money because they were racist and they have racist hiring policies. You know what?
To avoid the protest.
You know what? Hey, so what? You know, hit them in the pockets. They probably wouldn't listen if you were to stand out there with signs and protesting, but you hit them with some money and make a base of money and put their money where their mouth is. And what you call it, and it gave them people a lot of money, and of course they profited for it. You know, Jesse is a very rich man. Al's a very rich man as well. You know, it's a funny thing. Someone asked a question years ago.
No, think about the techniques that were used in the 50s and 60s to make some gains in the civil rights movement. Those methods were decreasingly less effective year after year from the late 60s to the early 70s, and media and finances became more important.
Right. I think those methods,
boycott, all that stuff, like by that time, capitalists have figured out how to diversify. Boycotts wasn't hurting them like it was. Like it was what it was.
Yep. And they realized, you know what? Just give me some money. Just shut up. And that's wound up being that. You know what I mean? If they make a mistake, give them some money, they'll shut up.
Not only that, but they were smart enough to get into politics with their thing and joining any particular party and stuff. And now they use their platform to get out there and get people out there to vote. So you're gonna have whatever party that they're involved in is gonna support them. When it comes to Patrice Cullors Khan, we're not talking about $1.6 million house. We're talking about property in the Caribbean where Tiger Woods got a place. We're talking about her wife up in Canada who bought a $6 million mansion. I mean, Come on, how many places you need? You can at least buy a warehouse, renovate it in the hood, and open it up if it's just going to be for art. If it's just going to be for art.
And the other thing that when hearing about it, when I heard about this whole situation, is that like there were people on the ground, people who were Black Lives Matter that weren't getting the money. You know what I mean? It was like they're buying this big, huge house, and it's supposed to be for all the people. And then the people who were in the community doing the work, those are the ones who weren't getting the money. And that part is
no, but
exactly, that's
about,
a bigger issue for me than just
wait, Todd. I mean, streets. Think about our era. Like the leaders didn't use the money for that personal stuff. Everything was for the movement. They stayed when they traveled. They stayed with local pastors, this, that, and the other. Like everything, like the bulk, like not 90, probably 98% of the money went for the movement.
Yep.
And not for expenses for them.
Not for expenses, right?
It's just, I don't know. It's
sad in a way, you know.
Yeah, it
is sad because I want
to for us because we have memory. We know how, but you got to realize people who are born into the era that don't have the experiential history, this is what they know, and this is how they think it should be done.
Yeah, and it's just sad, you know.
But the elitists do it too. The politicians, they do it too. They have family members that have LLCs, that have nonprofits. The only difference between them and BLM is that when they pass a bill, they have earmarks in this bill that say, yeah, okay, you want my vote? Well, send $2 million to this LLC that my daughter's the director of.
Yeah, they can cover the tracks a lot better. They cover the tracks a lot better. Yeah. And you know, it's unfortunately
it's legal. It's legal.
Yeah,
it's legal.
So unfortunately, it looks like Black Lives Matter is taking an L for this. You know, it's going to hurt them.
It hurt the donations. It hurt.
Well,
and I don't know if you don't mind. I don't know who said that Patrice Cullors and the other young ladies are the founders. Because as far as from what I read, they're not the founders. If you going back to Ferguson, Missouri, and hands up, don't shoot, they just happened to jump on, and they were smart enough to put up some type of donation website, and that's how they end up getting the money. But they, as far as I know, they are not the original founders.
It's such a weird situation with Black Lives Matter because I understand what they were trying to go for and have that sort of leaderless organization or one that doesn't have any top-down structure.
That was the Achilles heel.
But that's also the Achilles heel because there's no way for accountability, you know.
Well, not only that, is no way for accountability. Is no way to have a hierarchical leadership that has an agenda that keeps to it, that keeps the regional sites, the regional office in line with a common I don't want to say a singular agenda, but with a focused agenda. Yeah. And that's the problem. Black Lives Matter is too fragmented, disjointed.
Right. If the right way to do it is much like, say, like you have a representative from each of the chapters, and they have a voice on how the money's going to be spent. It just don't come down to three people who just so happen to be getting all the donations from corporations because they want to show that they are down with Black Lives Matter, whether it's the NBA or Walmart or anything.
Yeah,
you know, it should be every a representative from a delegate from every chapter in the United States should have a say on how and it should be voted upon.
Yeah,
and that's not what's happening.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't. I don't know why. It's kind of, you know, Monday morning quarterbacking, but I wonder why they didn't set things up that way to have it like where you had different chapters. So you have St. Louis chapter, if you have a Chicago chapter, then you know what I mean. And each chapter, maybe you know, so they get $1 million.
Have a
they have 10 chapters. It's split between the 10 chapters. You know what I mean?
think that they put it this way. And I'm always playing devil's advocate or trying to look at all the different angles of a situation. I think that they saw what happened with the NAACP and said that the NAACP is ineffective for what's going on now. So in a sense, they went with, we're going to have different. I hate to use, well, I'm not going to use this term, but they're going to have different cells, and the cells are going to be able to deal with the issues within their region. We're not going to be hierarchical. We're going to try to have these forums where we come together and we talk and we try to get together and be on a common ground, but everybody operates independently, and it's not going to be a hierarchical structure, which, as we earlier said in this podcast, that was the Achilles heel.
Yeah,
like
right.
if you're going to do anything that's going to change a pervasive, ingrained, systemic problem, you need a hierarchical structure that's going to be in it for the long haul, for many years. And the smaller, independent, fragmented stuff, that's good for fighting off sort of oppression. The initial thing, forming the initial structures to get to the hierarchical structure, but you don't start and end at the, you don't start and end at the cell structure.
Do you think that, because I think, here's what I think, do you think that Black Lives Matter, because they kind of, it had, the whole George Floyd thing and the whole issue with that in the pandemic, that was like lightning in a bottle for them. You know what I mean?
Well, we all thought it started it. Expire. We all called it.
Right, but what I'm saying is it was such a combination of things that happened and coalesced for them to really get the attention. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't, because when they created this, they weren't thinking that we're going to get all this types of money, and maybe sort of, not to their credit, but maybe they didn't foresee having this kind of windfall that would happen after George Floyd.
Well, let me pose this question to you. George Floyd happens. I'm not saying that Black Lives Matter doesn't happen, but let's just say the NAACP steps up with their hierarchical structure and controls the narrative and how that situation is played out. Mm-hmm. Would the Black community be in a better place today?
I think
hard to say.
So.
Hard to say, because I think the thing that Black Lives Matter had and its advantage was that it was youth based. The NAACP is a very old organization and has structure, but people don't, you don't necessarily think of the NAACP. It's buttoned up. You know what I mean? It's sort of that older guy. What you call it? It's not young person on the streets.
But they have the political connections, the ties. Right. If they would have stepped up and took control of the narrative, they would have been a lot more effective. They could have had their chapters organized, and it wouldn't have been disjointed. It could have been a uniform effort. They could have coordinated stuff with different states. This is a conservative state. This is a liberal state. We can get legislators. Like, it would have been a lot different, where Black Lives Matter was just scattershot.
Do you think that they would have gotten the donation that they got? That's the other question.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking like donations. Donations is fine, but getting members of Congress to vote the way that you want them to vote is the key, because that's what lobbyists do. Yeah. Like, people just seeing the financial, we got to have money. No, you got to have political power.
Yeah.
And the NAACP has more than Black Lives Matter.
Yes. And attorneys.
Yes.
They have the infrastructure.
They have
the infrastructure.
Yes.
Yeah, you're a good point. One thing what struck me is also interesting is I don't think I've ever heard Black Lives Matter like really, do any kind of collaboration. You think that that they would at some point, but would have, I don't know. Again, I'm looking at things, from the future perspective. And sort of
when it's a chapter by chapter organization, like, the collaboration is just for that. It's just for that chapter. Whereas when the NAACP collaborates, it's for the whole organization.
Well, they have chapters, so you like the
they have chapters, but if the chapters want to collaborate with an organization, they have to have the approval of the head organization. Yeah. Because You can't operate independently, and that's the difference of a hierarchical structure. You're trying to have a movement that is cell-based, taking on hierarchical structures that are ingrained, institutionalized, and historic. And you're trying to do this little local thing. We're going to fight in this context, this, that, and the other, to try to change the whole global system. That doesn't work. That's never worked historically.
Yeah, you got a point. You got a point.
And I'll say again, who determined even the chapters and because Black Lives Matter started before George Floyd death.
Right.
Who determined that Patrisse Cullors, the other three ladies, and Patrice's wife are the leaders of Black Lives Matter? Who determined that? The chapters.
Let's just put it this way. No, it's not who determined the leaders. Like there was a thought, a concept, Black Lives Matter. No hierarchical organization occurred. Anybody could start a chapter anywhere in the United States where they were at, and then whoever got the most engagement, eyeballs, attention because of social media, they became the sort of de facto national leaders. That's what happened.
And I think that Patrisse and them were smart enough to set up a donation page.
Yeah, they became the de facto leaders. Like, you know what I mean?
Because they're the ones because they're the first ones to sell
they can't tell the local chapters wherever they're at in the United States, you need to do this because we're in charge. They can't do that. Whereas the NAACP can do that.
Right. No. Patrisse and them they weren't shot callers like that in all the different chapters and all throughout in Missouri and Minneapolis and wherever. They weren't the leaders of those chapters. They were a part of the chapter. But somehow somebody, and I really can't think it came down to them establishing whatever webpage donation page, and now they got the money, which should have went out to the chapter.
No, I'm looking now. They said Patrisse Cullors, Alicia Garza, and Opal Tometi. They formed the Black Lives Matter Network in 2013. So they were involved. At least Patrisse was. But what I think is that I think when they started this organization, they didn't foresee this windfall they'd have when with George Floyd and all the attention being focused on Black Lives Matter. You have the NBA suddenly, putting Black Lives Matter on what you call it. They had a Black Lives Matter written in the streets. So it became this huge thing. And they got, they got huge donations and they spiked, especially 2020, and again, I think with that made it where it was, you have all this resources and they didn't know what to do with it. They didn't have any, again, I think not having any structure and then having this sort of windfall of donations in post George Floyd that made it right for this to happen. And again, I'm betting, to me, the biggest aspect is that there are people who are on the streets, the on the street people who weren't getting any kind of support, yet they're building a $6 million home. If they had built $6 million home and they were doing stuff on the streets, hey, as long as the work's getting done, I can, you gotta, I'm not as upset at it, but the fact that you have people complaining that they're not getting any support, that's the issue. And you're building this house and videos and stuff. Come on, man, it looks awful.
They weren't even giving support to the victim's family, and I mean, and Patrisse is getting caught in so many lies about the whole thing, which just is destroying any future possibility of even people making donations. California said that they refuse for anybody to donate to Black Lives Matter because of all the controversy that's going down with it. You went to multiple million dollar houses from living in what? I think, where's she from? Chicago?
I'm not
But
sure.
she went from living in the hood to having multiple $1 million houses.
Yeah.
In 2 years?
So let me one thing that I'm reading here. They said that they had raised. Let me see if I can find what's funny here. That between May and 2020 and December 2020, they Black Lives related causes account amounted for almost 10.6 billion, and they got 90 million in 2020. So
Right.
again, I can see you. Okay, you build this huge. If had they built this huge, I don't know, community center that was there, and it was used for other purposes, that okay, whatever the case may be. I mean, it would you could justify it. At least you could.
Right. People can see where their money's going, but that you really care about the community.
Right. You at least putting that.
You don't move to Hollywood. You don't move to Hollywood and buy a $6 million house and give your son a birthday party there.
Yeah, it's just
man.
All I can say about that is if you go to Atlanta and you go to the MLK Center close to where Martin's house was, where the movement was ran, it's in the hood.
Right.
It's in the hood.
I know, and they put that. They had that house. That house is in California.
A Muslim mosque ain't in Hollywood.
You in the hood when you go.
Hollywood.
MLK Center a few times.
Yeah, that's pretty awful, man. I can't figure it out, man. So I don't know. Poor Black Lives Matter, man. They're gonna have to deal with it. So the other thing that's happened this week, and we talked about earlier, is I don't know if I don't think you were online earlier. Last we talked about Monique and DL Hughley and the scorched earth policy or scorched earth tactics that Monique has used in this case. So if you, in case you didn't know, apparently DL Hughley and Monique had a show in Detroit, and apparently she was under the impression that she was the headliner, but apparently she wasn't. She goes up on stage and goes in this tirade. She just basically shits all over DL Hughley, says that he's DL and he's all this, just really tears him, just basically tears him a new asshole.
See, I don't know if I believe that. Like,
you can listen to it. She's
no. I think that she's doing this to create controversy to get attention.
Okay, but here's my point. Okay, why?
Why? No. Why? No. Because she's been blackballed. She's been blackballed from Hollywood. She's been blackballed from TV streaming stuff.
But she just got back. She's gotten back. People she was starting to get.
She had an opportunity, but she's doing the same thing that got her blackballed before. I don't know why. I don't get it. This is the industry that you work. There's certain rules, there's certain norms, written and unwritten. No matter what industry you work in, and she's just disregarding them. Like, you've been blackballed. Why would you think that you're gonna be the headliner when DL's not blackballed? He has radio shows, has TV stuff, has stream stuff, this, that, and the other, is constantly producing content on multiple medias and multiple formats. Why would you think that you're the headliner? Why?
Here's what I think, and I said earlier, I think, and this probably is a case because you haven't heard anything from the promoters because they've been going back and forth. Her and her husband DL, they've been going back and forth and sharing screenshots, all this other stuff. I think the promoters at some point were promising stuff that they didn't deliver, and she, maybe she has a legitimate issue. Like, she's supposed to be a headliner, and she thought she was the headliner, and apparently she gets said she's not. Okay, I get you. So what does DL have to do with that? And what sense does that make for you to go scorched earth and call him everything you can think of, every name under the sun? How does that benefit you?
I get that. Let's just use this word. Let's use professional wrestlers as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and let's use two well-known professional wrestlers. Let's use The Rock and let's use John Cena. John Cena had a nice comeback with Peacemaker. The Rock is The Rock. He does movies. Yep. He's gonna be Black Adam in the next DC movie. The Rock writes his own ticket. He has a show about his life on NBC, his young life. Like, so John Cena coming in, I'm gonna be the headliner. No, you're not. Sorry. Like, you had a nice career. People know of you. We're familiar with you, but obviously you're not the headliner.
Okay, but
and
here's what I'm
you're
saying.
Act like you're gonna get pissed because, like, I'm John Cena. I've been WWF.
You don't even headline above Ben Diesel. What you talking about?
but here's what I'm saying. As if so, let's use your wrestling example. So you have John Cena and The Rock, right? And say the promoter tells John Cena that he's going to headline, even though, okay, we know The Rock's a bigger star, but the promoter says you're going to headline or you're going to co-headline. Come to find out that he's not co-headlining.
I don't think John Cena's stupid enough to believe his promoter.
Well, okay,
like,
but
I'll just put it that way.
Even if you're stupid enough, and you should have a good manager that can figure that out. That at least can tell you the deal.
No, it's not have a manager.
But
as a person, understanding what's going on in the profession that I work in, I'm not going to believe that no matter what my promoter says.
So, but what I'm saying is that all this happens, and what if, okay, let's say that you have the same show with John Cena and The Rock, right? And they promise John Cena and The Rock, or let's just say whatever. John Cena thinks he's going to be a headliner. He goes there. The Rock's a headliner, obviously. He gets pissed and does this whole hour-long shoot on The Rock and doesn't wrestle his match. He just goes in there and just talks on the mic for an hour about The Rock. It's he may be justified his argument, but it's first of all, it's scorched earth because you're burning down the house for no reason, Yeah. And second
The Rock
of all,
is love. The Rock is love.
Right. And then second of all, if I'm a promoter that's having another show, what makes me think I'm going to choose? I'm going to want to work with a person like that, because the instant something goes wrong, they're going to go scorched earth policy and just burn everything down.
Okay, well, let's the example you gave. You look at it this way: who is promoting Monique? Because if you've been blackballed,
managing her.
No, wait a second. If you've been blackballed from Hollywood, network TV, all the streaming companies, what really type of promoter does she have? Because promoters want to make money, and she doesn't have the best and the most competent promoter. Because once you've been blackballed, why am I waste my time on you?
But see, that this is where your manager comes in. When you have a good manager, your manager.
No. But she can't have a good manager because she's been blackballed. Managers are hustlers too. They want to make money.
Well, her husband's her manager. That's the problem.
If you're a good manager,
I don't care. I don't care if he's married to her or not. The quality of who you have, the quality of who you have in the industry that you work in. If you've been blackballed and you can't do this, that, and the other, you're not going to have the best one, because it's your manager should be able to, what's the word? Have enough connection with you to get you understand how to play the game of the industry, and should have enough savviness in the industry to get you work.
Except
and obviously he doesn't.
Right. And obviously it's her husband. That's the reason why he's all, I got your back. But it's
she a grown woman though, man. She a grown woman. She's been in the industry 20 plus years. Right. At a certain point, you're adult and you got to do adult things, right? Obviously, she still acts like a kid to a certain extent.
Unless you're a diva out there.
Right.
Or think you're a diva.
Exactly.
But, and it's unfortunate because people, for the most part, and I even put myself in that case, I like Monique. I like to see her win. I think she's talented. I think she's very talented. She can do a lot of things, but she clearly is her own worst enemy. You can see it.
Well, let's use two other famous black stars that had family members as managers. Both Randy and Ray J had to cut their parents as managers once they got to a certain point. They both did.
Beyonce.
They both did it.
Beyonce. Okay, but you know what? But Beyonce's father got her quite far. You know what I mean?
I'm not saying
it's not like she was.
They can get you to a certain point, but once you get to a certain point, like he was good. He did his job getting her to that level of fame. But when it gets to a certain point, like in a sense, I hate to use the word holding you back, but the industry doesn't want the industry has ideals for you, and they kind of know where you can go within the industry that they want. Your family member, this, that, and the other, they're not going to want to compromise on certain things. Right. That's going to lead to longevity.
The Ball brothers, LaMelo Ball and them, man. They father done, I'm sure done screwed up a whole lot of endorsements they could have got because he trying to put himself in there.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a good one. I forgot about LeBron Ball. I've heard him in a while, man. But yeah, it's just crazy, man.
That's all that is. And until she gets to the point where she realized I'm married to you, but you can no longer be my manager, and this is the industry in which I want to work, and this is where I thrive, and this is where my career is going. This is what it's going to be.
You know, and you think about it. You think about it, and she operates in the industry that relationships are. That's all it's about. You know what I mean?
Paramount.
It's all, and it's like how do you do that where you just ruin relationships like that when that's how people gain things, relationships. You should know that. That's how the game is played. Nephews and cousins and they help each other out. But it's relationships. If you have a bad relationship with someone,
like as a black actress, when you burn the bridges with other high ranking or influential black people in the industry, that's just ignorant.
Well, you know what the problem is? The problem is it's like here when if say I go into business, say me and you go into business, all this, right? And it doesn't work out, and I go, man, this dude stole my money. He's phony. He's what you call it. And then I go into business with you, DJ, and I say, man, he did all this. What you called me, and I start another business with you, Les, and same thing. Who's the common denominator? After a while, it's like, yo, what's going on, man? You're the common denominator. You're the problem here, you know.
Not if your spouse is telling you, no, everybody
right.
else is doing, baby. I love
right.
you.
But he's gonna be leading you to the poorhouse. She's gonna be doing videos on Cameo for $100.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like in the like Brandy and Ray J, I'm pretty sure that they love it. They love their mother, but it got to a point where, Mom, we gotta let you go.
About that. Oh man. So in other news, sort of going in reverse, but there's another shooting in Texas. Is that Texas that happened? The guy went to the hospital? I believe it's Texas, yeah. Went
it was Oklahoma, actually.
Oklahoma, yeah. So
apparently
it's
Texas.
Just north of Texas. Close enough. So this guy basically has a doctor, runs into a medical clinic and shoots the doctor and 3 other people. Apparently he was in pain, something, he had some sort of, I don't know if he had, I don't know what he had. He had an operation.
Back injury.
Here's the thing, his back was so hurt that he could run up in there and shoot 4 people. I guess your back was hurting that bad. And then shot himself. I'm like, it's just,
some heroin or something.
Something, man. Jesus Christ, man. It's almost comical to hear all these different shootings that have happened within the past 3 weeks almost. Yeah. And apparently that guy, he just bought that gun that same day. That's just it's staggering. Think about it. 2 weeks ago we were just talking about what happened in Buffalo. A week ago we were just talking about what happened in Texas.
Now we go Buffalo, Texas, and Wisconsin, and now this.
And then California, the Cambodian guy at the church shot up the church. I mean, it is just crazy, man. It's you wonder what will be done about this situation. You know, I mean, you know, you think that after, you know, obviously you think after Sandy Hook and all those other situations happened, that Congress would do something, but it seems like they're not gonna do anything. It's gonna be the same old, same old.
Of course not.
You know, then you hear people saying, "Man, we should just give them guns, give the teachers guns." Really?
That's stupid.
Really? I mean, really? Really? Could you imagine? I was listening to the show, and this guy was saying that he's talking about teachers giving teachers guns. He was saying, I'm a gun owner and I'm a pretty good shot, but I got to practice at it. So imagine giving teachers guns, and then they have to practice shooting, obviously, to be proficient. You know, you think about what happened if one day, if I don't know, some student acts up a class and the teacher wants to shoot the student, or any number of situations that happen like that. Or
you see the size of some of these kids.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
You got middle schoolers that take.
Think about that little old white lady's teacher, right? And a big student that won't sit down. He tells them to sit down. He says, "Fuck you," or "He ain't doing shit," and she gets going to shoot him. What then? You know.
Especially how some of these kids be acting out, bro. I would be one. I
don't think you. I don't think y'all thinking about the situation let's just say a practical or a logical manner.
All right, let me.
There's a little small teacher. Doesn't matter, male, female, whatever. Right. Whatever your pronouns are, don't matter. Mm-hmm. You in high school. It's some brothers and some corn-fed white dudes, some vatos that's 230. They want that gun.
Yep.
They gonna get the gun, right?
Yep.
Yeah, of course they will.
They gonna shoot. Yep. Like what you gonna do?
Yep. Or worse, say the gun goes off by accident and shoots a kid by, falls on the ground and goes off. Shoot somebody.
Why would you even be a teacher? They gotta pay those teachers $200,000.
It changes education.
Yeah, it changes the whole thing for education.
No. Elementary school, middle school, high school. If teachers are strapped in the classroom or they have a gun that's locked up, your primary job at all moments in time is making sure that firearm is secure, not teaching.
Right.
Not teaching.
I know, and then they complain how
I leave the keys here. My kindergarten students find the keys, unlock it, and kill somebody. No. Your primary job is to make sure that firearm is secure. It is not teaching anymore. That's how come.
Job.
If you want folks, you need to put armed security, armed police officers in buildings. If that's what you want. But it should not be teachers' responsibility.
But
and have one entry and exit.
But then
I'm not gonna say what it.
But then you know what? If you
like,
okay,
wait, hold on a second.
Sorry, go ahead.
Let me respond to it as somebody who has worked in schools before. What happens when the person that wants to assault teachers and children does it at recess when they're outside? Do we now turn schools into prisons? Kids can't go outside. They have to be boarded up, locked up. Like, when are we going to
address the real issue?
Take a heartfelt, a logical, and a thoughtful approach to figuring out what's the most feasible and best solution and the holistic solution for this problem, instead of just coming up with knee-jerk reactions. Well, if somebody comes in and the teachers are armed, they could just shoot them. Like, that's just simplistic and off the cuff and not very thoughtful, and that's not very practical.
It isn't.
Well, when it comes to, I think with the schools and the way they structured, I think they probably should be in a square or octagon formation where you have a courtyard where we don't have our children out there playing, and the only thing separating them from the things going on the streets is
how do you do that? No, how do you do that? That's fine in rural America, suburbia America. How do you do that in urban areas where kids are playing on concrete because of land resources and the allocation of land. They don't have like schools that in the town that I work in, the places of the where there's grass and field where they can play is there's a sidewalk and there's a street and then there's the school. If I would have designed it, I would have done it differently. I would have had the parking lot by the street and then the grass by the school, but it's not designed that way. So then you have to and I'm not saying that this is not a possible solution. Then you have to pour millions of dollars into reconstructions of schools.
And that's
People aren't going to spend millions of dollars of reconstructing schools in urban areas.
To me, that's the issue. How much it's going to cost? And you have schools that are already underfunded. I was listening to the podcast. They're saying some schools are in certain communities are 50 years old, don't have air conditioning in them.
We get money
in the town that I work in. A lot of them are more than 50.
Yep. So
but we give taxpayers money to bullshit to other places outside of America. If we ain't gonna take into consideration our most.
Stop talking about Ukraine. Stop talking about Ukraine.
Well, I mean, take that money. We give money to bull. We give billions to bullshit.
You know, I mean, I really think, and unfortunately, I think our House and Senate are they're just never going to come to any conclusion. I think it's not one thing that's going to stop this. You know what I mean? It's going to, and I don't think any one thing is going to stop this. I think it's a combination of things that I think what you have to do is you have to have, if you're going to allow people to have guns, AR-15s and all that, you have to have lots of safeguards to prevent the person that's this misanthrope that's going to go off and shoot 4 people.
The red flag laws, they need to.
Okay, that's but you see that's one thing.
Well, let's hold on a second. Let me say my piece, and then we can talk about the red flag laws. I think that what's going to ultimately change all of this is once these children who this is their reality of growing up with these school shootings and these school massacres. When they are of voting age and when they can run for political office, and then you're going to have some that do that, and when they get in a decent enough numbers politically in the U.S. government, that this will change because this is going to be their reality. And then it will change. But as far as us and our generation, because we can't really,
we dropped the ball.
No, I'm not gonna say we dropped the ball. This shit didn't happen when we grew up, so it's
it's true. It's definitely 2000s
a unique situation, but this is going to be their reality, and this is going to be something that they're going to say this is not right. And now that we have the power to change it, we're going to change it, and that's what they're going to do.
So all right, so
only to an extent. Do they really want it? Do they really? I mean, they talk good talk and stuff, but the gun laws and reform regulations.
What I'm saying is 20
that gets people elected. They don't. Some people don't.
That gets people elected now.
Yeah.
20 from 30 years from now, when these kids are now running for political office, that this has been their reality. Some of them will have experienced school shootings. Some of them will have been in close proximity to school shootings wherever they grew up, and they're going to want to make a difference and want to make a change and not want their progeny to go through the thing that they went through. And then it will change. But as far as our generation, we're going to be really susceptible and influenced by lobbyists that are going to say, no, we can do this, that, and the other. We can look at this, we can do this, but no substantial or significant things to really make schools safer is going to happen.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example of how political this stuff is. So a company that makes the AR-15 gets a government grant from the Pentagon $9.3 million to manufacture weapons for the military. You can't tell me that the Secretary of Defense, the President of the United States, the Chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, if they were really serious about getting rid of AR-15s, and I always have a question about when people try to describe weapons, because these politicians don't even know what a weapon is, certain weapons. So you don't think if they were really serious about it, they couldn't say, look, we need you to stop making this particular type of gun if you want us to give you a contract to manufacture weapons for our military, if they were serious about it.
So this is how I'm going to respond to that. And I want you to stop. I want you to pause, and I want you to think. It's 20 to 30 years from now. Kids who have experienced this is their reality. This is the only thing that they've known. They've grown up with these stories. They've grown up with this anxiety and this fear that somebody's going to come into the school that they go to and shoot them. And I also want you to think about 20 to 30 years from now, the technology and the stuff that we're going to have. And they're going to say that there's other ways that we can address this issue with the technology and where we're at now. That's what I'm saying. Like,
and I see that happening. Because
that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying
20 to 30 years from now,
I'm not saying that's the reality now. I'm saying when these kids, when they're sitting in Congress, and they're sitting in Congress at significant numbers, and if stuff like this is still happening, they're going to make the difference because it's experiential for them. It's not this theoretical bullshit that we never experienced, that we're trying to solve a problem of something that we never experienced and that we can't relate to, and we don't have that inherent fear.
Yeah.
Now, what did they say was the biggest problem during the pandemic when we had our children's virtually learning from home? The biggest thing was their lack of socialization. Wearing the mask. They'll have the technology now. I know they already got it.
How can I say?
But that was the problem, that our kids are not being able to see another kid's mouth. So they be able to read the teacher's mouth, not being able to socialize.
You have to look at DJ. You have to look at different sources around all over the country that happen, and not look at the what's the word I'm looking for? The corporate mediaized version that was only concerned with getting the economy back on track with the pandemic. In certain states, mainly southern states, rural states, where they implemented distant learning or remote learning, whatever term that you want to use. So a lot of those places that had kids that had chronic absenteeism, they decided, and when they went to remote learning, those kids were a lot of kids were that had difficulty engaging in coming to school and being part of instruction. They were more engaged with the remote learning and the technological stuff. Those states decided to keep remote learning as an option for those things. Not in the not in the Northeast, not in highly populated areas, but in other areas, because it worked. It allowed them to, and they hired, like, unlike here, because of not in the Northeast, because of unions and unions trying to make sure that unionized folks would do stuff, and not seeing the greater picture of you can hire unionized people to do remote learning.
You don't need as many teachers.
No. In the southern states, they hire teachers in the rural areas. After I'm not gonna say after the pandemic, because we're still in the pandemic. But when we were a year and a half, 2 years into the pandemic, those states decided to hire people specifically do remote learning for those kids that were hard to engage in school. It's not that it can't happen here, and that those teachers in the Northeast, in the Midwest, in highly populated areas, that they can hire staff to do remote learning for kids who want to remain at home and receive instruction and will participate more in school that way, instead of going the route of them having chronic absenteeism and then calling the local the state child protective agency for educational neglect, getting child protective services involved, because that's what happens.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you from personal. I'm talking to you from personal experience. They said, okay, this is a paradigm that we didn't realize could reach some of the students that we need to serve. We're going to keep it, and they did. But in the region of this country that we live in, because mainly because the unions and folks on this cast know my personal relationships to unions and all of that stuff. That was the argument that was held, and honestly, I in the capacities in which I work, I've argued against it. I'm just going to say that, because all kids need to receive an education in the manner that best serves them, and I'm going to say that.
And let's keep it real, because when we bought laptops for every child in America, a lot of people, a lot of these kids couldn't get off them games that they were playing on them laptops. They just
games and porn, because in Africa, one laptop per child, they was looking at all the porn.
Yeah, them laptops, they was more concerned about playing them video games and stuff than studying or being involved in the class.
No, look, I don't have a problem with them playing games.
Yeah,
No, but
kind of really
time
during school class.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, you know what? We play games in school too. It just wasn't video games. You know what I mean? I think I don't think you can keep that whole thing. We're going to keep away from games, and these games are going to kill them and ruin their brains. It's already there, man. You've got to find ways to engage them where they will use the games, but either they learn from the games, or you make the games so where they can use it, or you incorporate it as part of the lesson. I don't think you can run from it and say, put your head in the sand and no computers, no more, no games. We have to make computers. That's not going to work.
And plus,
like Georgia is one state that that once they did like remote learning or distant learning, whatever you want to call it, they decided to keep it as a permanent option for all students for their public school education, because they reach kids that they never got to before, and instead of having to use their state child protective service agencies to address those concerns, okay, they're remote, they're engaged in instructions, they're getting education. Is it on par with in-person learning? Probably not, but they're getting education and they're engaged.
Mm-hmm. I want to go back to something you said earlier, Rod. Got me thinking. You were saying that like it's going to take another generation for these students to really affect change in terms of gun legislation, and I kind of agree with you to a degree. I think that as a country, we're not ready to really make a full commitment to doing something about gun violence in our country, because I don't think it's a one-stop thing. I don't think you can just say this one thing is going to change it. But what worries me is I think we're headed for a few more of these. And one of the things that really listening to this podcast
I agree a lot.
It's a lot, right? And it scared me. There's a thing that you can get for a gun. It's like I forget what's called, ghost guns, where you can basically turn a gun that's a regular semi-automatic to automatic. And I'm like, when that shit happens, trust me, that's when that shit's gonna happen.
Or when it starts happening in private schools and where some of these congressmen and their kids go. That's when it's when it's gonna change.
That's just going to change because I'm telling you, it's I do feel like there's more pushback and people are really, they're really getting antsy and want to see something done. And it's more so than it was in 2012 when Columbine happened, or even back when Columbine, Sandy Hook rather, when Columbine happened. So I think that there is voice to it, and people actually want this. But again, I think a lot of these representatives are in the pockets of the gun lobby.
Absolutely.
There's too much.
All right, I want to throw this out here. I guess I'm pulling the pin in the grenade, and I'm just throwing it. I'm throwing it into the crowd. So let's review the last 3 weeks of mass shootings. I'm not familiar with the one that that Street said about California. We had Buffalo, mainly black shooters at a grocery store. Then we had
Texas.
Uvalde.
Yeah, Uvalde in Texas. And that one grabbed national attention. Did it grab national attention because of just the circumstances of it happened, or did it grab national attention because of the future voting block of Hispanic voters? Like, it just totally.
Oh, I'm glad you brought this up.
No. It totally like erased what happened. In my opinion, this is just my opinion. It totally erased what happened in
Buffalo.
In Buffalo.
Yeah.
And then what was it? Streets. You said California happened.
California. That was a
Wisconsin,
Chinese and Cambodian, and I think
a black man, and even though somebody challenged me to my street cred in the text thing, we're not discussing it here, brother, on the cast. Don't ever question mine, because we can go U.S. Violent crime statistics, where I'm from and where you from, and I
was being facetious with you, bro. I was being facetious with you.
For the last 40 years, I'm just letting you know.
I was being facetious with you.
No, I know. I'm just messing with you. It's all love. It's all love.
Yeah, but that's go ahead, finish, because you bring up a good topic.
No, I'm just thinking like I think there's a political component from both sides.
Yes, it is.
This issue, because stuff happened in Buffalo. Oh yeah, it's a tragedy. Blah blah blah. We running through our normal script for this type of thing.
Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, blaming everybody.
The nationality the nationality or race of the shooter is highly political.
And I told you. I think I mentioned last week. If now the Buffalo shooter. When he shot the place, they were like, well, you see, he obviously has a mental health problem. Yeah, he's obviously been corrupted by.
Yeah.
Now, say he had been Muslim. Say he had been black.
He would have been a terrorist.
He would have been a knuckle dragging monster.
He would have been a terrorist immediately.
I disagree with you, brothers, man. If it's a white person doing it, man, there's white. The first thing they get, and I see this, and I wish I could show how the media address. They will come out and say a white shooter, where if it's a person of color, they do not come out and give whether the person is Hispanic, black. That guy who ran over all those people.
I'm gonna challenge you on this one, bro.
Hold up. That guy who ran. I'm gonna give you another example. Now the president, and I'm not just singling out him. When he shows up for a mass shooting, the mass shootings, what was the race of the shooter? Because we done had some, and he showed up. That dude that up there, that dude that ran over all those people in them cars during what was that parade?
Toronto? Is it Toronto?
No, I think Toronto. It was the United States.
It wasn't.
No, you're talking about South Carolina.
He ran over the people. It was a parade, and this guy in the
South Carolina, one of the Carolinas.
And he ran over. Shoot, bro, that barely got news, and ain't nobody showed up. Kids got ran over, old people got. That's where it's a political. Me, if you're gonna talk about a mass killing,
hold up,
and I'm
though.
not leaving it at
Wait,
guns,
hold on a second.
killing.
Wait, hold on. DJ, whenever it's a person of color, usually they're within, I'm gonna say, anywhere from 1 hour to 3 hours of them confirming the identity. That brother picture is, or that Vato picture is on every news station. If it's a white person and they've been through the Facebook, they've been through every social media thing, they know it's a white man. Let's use the Las Vegas shooting. We didn't see that white dude face for
I forgot about that.
24 to
Totally
36
forgot about
hours.
that, man.
And they knew.
Totally forgot about that Vegas shooting. Yeah.
We know it's him.
I still haven't seen the black dude that shot up the hospital. I still haven't seen the face.
I seen a picture of him.
I seen a picture of him too.
Yeah.
No.
We saw immediately the subway shooter in New York. That brother, we saw him immediately.
Oh, he was crazy, bro. They need to put his face all the way because he wasn't immediately
But
caught.
the point
they need
is,
to have his face
when it's a Caucasian, even when they have the social media, they have goddamn, let's say, hundreds of thousands of pictures of them. They delay showing the pictures. I see the brother's baptism pictures with the pastor holding him, dipping him as a baby. Shit, it's ridiculous.
You know what though? I'm actually gonna kind of I actually kind of agree with you to a degree. I think that the problem that we have here is not as deep in race, but I think it's a societal problem. It's you know, there's obviously a racial component to it, but it's so much
political
convenience.
Political convenience.
Right, and it's you know, because you know, you mentioned the Vegas shooting. You had a guy that was holed up in a hotel room and shot 63 people. Think about 61 people. 61 killed 61 people.
Let's go to the Vegas. Let's go to the Vegas shooting.
And it was a white guy.
No. Hold on a second. Who did we see first? Did we see his picture or did we see his Asian wife? Who did we see?
Asian wife.
Or girlfriend? Who did we see first? We saw
the person of interest
first before we saw him. Ridiculous.
Right. So here's my point. My point is on a legislative level. I think, you know, not that we can't use racism, but it's such a, you know what I mean? You have so many instances of shootings that happen in so many disparate races and groups. And I know that the news media does take a, you know, they do tend to classify different shooters differently depending on their race. You know, like they're like if it's a white guy,
Buffalo, that was I mean, he had nigger written on the gun.
Yeah, that's kind
of we know that was about
what race. About the young white dude that got off in Wisconsin that drove however many miles to secure property that didn't
Kyle Rittenhouse?
Yeah,
you can't say he got off, bro. It went to court and everything, bro.
No, I'm not saying, did I say that?
You gotta be careful.
Yeah, he'll sue your ass too.
You're about to sue CNN and everybody and get paid. You better be
that was bullshit too, because if he was black, he wouldn't have gotten off.
Yeah,
he wouldn't have definitely wouldn't have got all that support.
Black, white, or whatever. He had the right based on that state law to do what he did, man, and that's what it came down to. Some cats had records. Some cats who attacked him and chasing them, they had records. They were aggressive.
Yeah, it was.
Let a brother walk in the middle of the street with
having records and not having records and shooting and killing people. It don't matter. Shooting and killing people, that's the crime. Whether the type of person they are. Like it's the action that's the damn crime, not who the hell you killed is a crime.
Okay, so you're saying that he was wrong?
No. I'm not saying that he's wrong. I'm saying that when we use who the victim was to validate or justify the action, it's the action. The law should be written for the action. That's what I'm saying.
Wait a minute. How was he right?
How was he right?
Yeah.
Tell me a law that he violated. Tell me
Wait,
a law he
wait,
violated.
hold on. Why the hell did he go there with the damn gun?
To me,
First of all, he didn't go there. He didn't go there with the gun.
And the first aid supplies that
in
nobody
the
could
state.
find.
He
And
did
the
not
first
cross.
aid
He did
supplies.
not cross state lines with the gun.
He
He did not cross
He didn't
state
cross
lines
guns?
with the gun.
He did
He did
say
not
that
cross
again?
state lines with the gun.
Didn't his mother buy him the gun?
No. His mother did not buy him the gun.
How did he get the gun?
A friend bought him the gun. A friend bought him the gun, and he
But
showed up.
I'm saying he was wasn't he at a protest?
He
Trying to be
there.
like what's the dude in
No.
Florida that killed Trayvon Martin? What was he?
He came there to protect the destruction of property. And anybody.
Well, why the hell was that his responsibility when he wasn't even from there?
How come that's not the police job?
He was from there. That's a misnomer.
How come that's not the police job?
That's
that's not.
bro. His father lived there. His father and mother separated. His father and he worked there. In that city.
So you said he was there to protect property.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Were they on his property?
Exactly.
Again, Matt.
His father's property is not his property.
Y'all must not know gun.
Wait a minute. So hold up. Was he on his property? Was it in his yard? Was it in his car? What?
Let me answer this. Was the people who was burning down somebody else's life work? Was it their property?
But hold up. We're not flipping it to that.
Nobody said
you said he was there to protect property.
He was there to protect the property and prevent destruction of people's businesses. And according to the law, it was all right because nobody.
Hold on a second.
Hold on
a second. Everybody be quiet. Everybody be quiet. DJ, answer this. If somebody breaks into your home and they're exiting the building and you shoot them in the back, who's going to be liable or legally responsible? You are, because you shot them in the back. No.
Go ahead.
Do you understand the point that I'm making? Do you understand?
I understand what I'm making. I'm fully aware. I'm a registered gun owner, so I'm fully aware that if somebody breaks in my house, that I better shoot them in the chest, and it better be
while they're in your property. But if they're exiting
my house, I better not shoot them in the back.
If they're exiting your property, yes, if they're exiting your property, you could be liable. So why is he driving to something that's not his property, not on his land, and he's executing folks? That's okay? Get out of here.
Yes, and I'm telling you the law. I'm telling you what the law is.
So my question was, why was he right?
He was okay in that state. He was okay to have the type of rifle that he had. Some people call them.
I'm not gonna say he's okay. That's what the jury ruled, and that's how the court system works.
That's what the judge ruled. The judge dismissed it because
that crazy ass judge.
Because he was carrying. Apparently, the age limit in connection with carrying a rifle was 16, not 18.
And right. He will be a millionaire, and he will be a millionaire because CNN, MSNBC, and everybody else just like that kid. Hold up, let me finish.
Wrong is wrong, right is right.
Let me finish. He will be a millionaire because they will settle for all the things that they said about him. Just like that kid when that down at Washington D.C. when that Indian came up and was banging the thing, and that kid just sat there with a smirk. He got paid big time by CNN.
So DJ, if you're around the corner, you chilling, you protest, it looked like a protest or whatever, and I come up and I shoot you because I think you're destroying property.
That's not what he did. But go ahead.
Is that okay?
That's not what he did.
You know.
I believe he was chased. I believe he was chased.
He was. So here's a story with the Kyle Rittenhouse thing. It isn't like he just shot people that weren't doing anything. They were chasing him.
Yeah,
fired him. Now, so I think that kind of muddies it a bit. And these guys were attacking him, so he felt attacked. So in a sense, he has the not the right, but he has the argument
that what happened, or is
defending himself.
No, Streets, is that what happened, or is that that his version of the story.
No, that's on camera. That's on camera.
But wait a minute. Okay, let me ask this: Were they chasing him? Were they chasing him because they saw him with a gun?
Only capture when they start to record.
I honestly don't know.
Engaged him first.
One of the guys had a gun. One of the guys had a gun. One of the guys
he didn't shoot him.
What?
He had a gun on the side. He had it holstered. He had the gun holstered. So what, didn't they chase him because he had a gun and they thought he was going to do something?
And okay, so I got a gun. That means I'm gonna do something.
If you walking around with a long ass rifle in the middle of a protest or whatever at night, hell yeah, we're gonna think you're gonna do something.
Okay. So white people are the only people in the riots that we've seen in the last 4 years, in the last 3 years. White people are the only ones walking around with guns. I could imagine, because I could damn sure remember black people walking around with guns at Wendy's when that young lady got shot. So you trying to tell me that only because he's white?
No, I didn't even say anything about him being white. I'm asking you, was it right or wrong? You're saying that it was right. So my point is, if I asked you the question, if I shoot you, if I'm okay, if go ahead.
Yeah, was he the aggressor? Somebody
so
tell me.
I'm reading right now. So apparently he was at the protest and he had two confrontations with a couple of the guys. So apparently a guy threw some socks, underwear, and deodorant at him, and they were chasing him. And one of the guys fired a shot in the air. Like it's turned around toward the shot, he's being chased. So I mean, it's such a. I think that this case is it's not as cut and dry as you may want it to be. I mean, I don't like the fact that he got off.
Tell me this, street librarian and ologist and Leon. Somebody got a AR-15. Are you gonna antagonize this dude?
Me? Hell no.
Ass shouldn't have been there in the first place.
I agree. But
that dude who he first shot should not have been there because he has a record, a violent record at that. And they said he was one of the main attacks. He had chain. He had a chain. He was the most protagonist that night.
All right. Wait, hold on a second. I'm gonna ask DJ, let me ask you this. Like, I want to see how you respond to this hypothetical situation.
Okay.
This hypothetical situation.
Okay.
So let's just say there's a block party and mainly exclusively white neighborhood. It's a biracial child whose father lives in the neighborhood, and things get out of hand, things get out of control. He drives, let's say, 40 miles. His father calls him, tells him what's going on. He drives 40 miles. He has his AR-15, and he's walking through the neighborhood, and he's trying to reestablish order. And let's just say some white person in the community sees an obviously to them black child, and they shoot him in the head and kill him. Are they wrong?
And that the situation that you put it and the way you explain, and in a way, I would say that he probably was wrong, but that's not the situation that happened with.
No, I'm not talking about the situation that happened. I'm just saying. So we got this white dude going in his community with this big gun, running down, establishing order in a community that obviously
he wasn't doing that. That's not what he was doing. He was standing.
I'm not saying what he was doing. I'm like, you're looking at it from just solely. You're looking at it solely from his perspective. If there's a white dude, I live in a predominantly black community. I see a white dude running down the street with an AR-15. He don't live here. I don't know him. This, that, and the other. Do you understand that perspective from the community?
Okay, I do.
Not from.
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you were saying. And
why does he have that? What is he going to do? He is foreign. Just like if the tables are turned in a white community with a brother running down the street with a weapon. But it's not going to, the outcome is going to be different for the brother because he's going to get killed.
It might be alligator.
You know what? I want to give some new people in that have entered the chat to say something. Dave has entered, and I want to give him a chance.
David? Welcome
to get his point of view. We're kind of talking about. We're talking a bunch of things. We're talking about
David. Welcome, my because I think that you are a partially libertarian brother, and that's what the mindset has been infected.
Hey, listen, I don't know what
by
I
your
am.
post.
I don't know
by
what I
your
am.
post. We on the same accord on a lot.
I say this: I don't know what I am, but I know what I'm not. I'm not a Republican nor a Democrat.
So, same here. I've been saying that since I got on this podcast.
I'm independent, man. Registered independent.
I hate both of them. I hate both of them.
You know, but I'll say this: I heard the conversation, and I'm a little bit towards DJ's perspective. I have to say it's not whether I think Rittenhouse was right or wrong, but in that moment, let's be honest. Let's turn it this way. All right. And again, it's not about defending him. It's about just kind of understanding the situation.
Right.
Okay. So the 16-year-old or whatever kid decides that he wants to go, reinforce order in his community, right? Because let's face it, not everybody protesting was out protesting. There were some people there to destroy as well.
Yes.
But that's irrelevant. But anyway, so he goes out there and he starts to profile, walking with the gun on his back down the street, chest pushed out, but he's still a 16-year-old kid. You on the sidewalk, if you him, let's pretend you are Rittenhouse. You are walking out, you're profiling. You really don't intend to shoot anybody, but you got a gun and you thought that would be enough to scare the community. Well, it didn't.
Right.
Now you turn around, you're being attacked. You hear a gunshot and you're now being attacked. What the hell are you going to do? Drop the gun and run? You're going to shoot. So I
disagree. I disagree.
So do I.
This is why
what do you disagree with?
What do you disagree with? If you have a gun, like I'll just put it this, since somebody tried to check my street creds in the chat. If you got a gun and you show a gun and you pull a gun, you better be prepared to use.
Right.
So if you're walking down the street with the gun, you are intending to potentially use it.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
No. It's cool. No. It's cool for police and military, but as a regular citizen, if you pull a gun on somebody and he's walking down the street,
how many of us see random people walking down the street with an AR-15?
Thank you. And Texas.
So let me ask you
depends.
this.
It depends on the state. Some states have open carry.
Let me ask you this though.
I have actually lived in Texas. When I was there, it was you can have a concealed weapon. You had to have a permit, this, that, and the other. Rarely did I see a person with a weapon that was out invisible.
Yeah, but you can't. But the argument is not. No, but you can't. The argument is not. And I didn't mean to cut you off. But the argument is not that, hey, he was walking with a gun, so I get to be the aggressor. So in other words, I'm
not saying that. I'm just saying, like, when I came to this state that I currently live in, I'm at a liquor store where I know it's illegal to have firearms, and I see this white man walk in with an exposed one, no badge. No,
where at? But what state?
Connecticut.
Connecticut is open carry.
It's open carry. I can carry. You can carry in Connecticut. What you can't do, you can't. What the law says is you cannot incite chaos. So by walking in there with your gun,
you can have a firearm. You can have a firearm in a liquor store.
I don't know if it's a liquor store.
In Connecticut, it's an open carry.
Unless the liquor store says you can't carry inside here.
Exactly. Connecticut is an open carry, bro.
Okay. But I honestly, this case is a lot of gray.
Yeah, it totally. Because I do not at 16.
Right at 17. But
whatever.
I don't. It's not like I'm this guy's
condoning him, right?
Sort of hero or whatever.
Right.
And to be honest, I think
let's talk about that. No, let's talk about his age.
If I can just say this.
Wait a second. Let's talk about his age. He was 16. He was 16. So
right.
As 16-year-old.
I think he was 17. I think he was 17. But let me say this.
17.
Go ahead.
Now, when this first happened, I talked to some frat brothers of mine. Do you know that what was coming out that people said that my frat brothers in them, it was assuming that he shot 3 black people?
No, he shot white people.
He shot white people.
All of them was white. They were assuming it, and I had to school them like he didn't shoot any black people.
Right, but the argument, here's the thing though, the story is still the same whether he shot black or white. That's where this country gets messed up. It doesn't matter if he shot black or white. It's the law and the story. If you're on the jury and you're going to be objective, you got to take all of the circumstances into account, right? Say you turn around and your son, you went, oh my God, where my son at? Oh, he went out to be a hero. Before you could get there, he's already walking down the street, and these guys decide that you're stupid. MFF. And you see a guy walking with an assault rifle. If I'm approaching you, my intention is to kill you first. I'm not involved in trying to profile you. So you try to intimidate him, and then what they did when you watch the video, they engaged him. Then they put his hand on the
skateboard, and
you deserve to lose your life.
You try to take the gun.
You try to intimidate him.
It like I said. It's not
that black and white.
It's not black and white. It's not like Ahmaud Arbery.
I'm not
saying
the judge was effed up in that case.
Right. The only thing I disagree. The only thing I think the judge is messed up is that he should have been sided of having that weapon there.
He should have.
What gives a 17-year-old? What gives a 17-year-old the legal authority to say that he has the proper mindset to do, let's say, what the law intended? He's not even of legal age. He's not even
Exactly.
You're right about that. So when you go to judge him, you have to take into account that he's not even fully developed.
The state legislature.
No. Wait a second. Wait. Hold on a second. He's not of legal age. How many young black men, brown men, yellow men get judged for their crimes when they are 13 and 14 and get charged as adults?
I agree with you, my brother. I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I'm not disagreeing, but I can't take one side of it and then justify it wrong on the other side. Now flip that and make that a black kid. You would have, see, we have to be careful, man, because if we want this country to be better, we can't always approach the story from one perspective. Hey, brother, you are, because you're saying, I'm not saying that it's right. I'm saying you have to judge it in the context of the entire situation. You can't just judge the part where shots are fired or he's carrying a gun. Okay.
I know that.
It's interesting you say that about wanting this country to be right, because and taking it from a different perspective when they never take it from a different perspective.
And let me.
They don't have to because they're in power.
They don't have to because they're in charge.
When you're in power, you do what you want to do.
That. Like I've always said, ever since I've been a part of this podcast, equality is equality. It's not weight. It's not incrementalism. Like you got to take smaller steps to get to equality. No, equality is equality. And if we flip the race of any situation and we decide that this is more acceptable and this is different, that's not equality, and that is not.
I agree with you, brother.
The Constitution and every legal document written for this country for equality.
Right.
Can I ask this? Am I the only person who's seen some brothers and sisters dressed in black garb with black berets and AR-15s on? I mean, with AR-15s, talking about their right to protect them. Am I the only person that saw those?
No, you're not.
You talking about homeboy with the not fucking around committee? What was his name?
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, Grandmaster Jay, I think his name.
Am I the only person?
No, you're not. But I don't.
No. Who have they killed?
Yeah, they're not. It's not.
Yeah,
the same story.
they have a right to carry
yeah.
weapons.
Yeah, so does the white guys.
Who have been killed?
Yeah, we're mixing apples and oranges. It's not that you're
no.
carrying.
What I'm saying in the Wittenhouse situation is like he didn't have the maturity to execute and make the decision that he's going to protect his neighborhood and have the decision making capacity to actually carry that out in an effective way.
But you're right.
The fact that he was legally old enough to carry the weapon, yes, you are. Yes,
I think the older guy who was chasing them down, knowing he got an AR-15 and trying to do harm.
That's just pretty stupid.
Yeah, it's stupid.
But I do. If things are all true and fair, or at least in my eyes, legally he should have been found guilty of something. Having that gun,
I agree.
Having and carrying that gun.
And if you were black,
just plain wrong.
If you were black, he would have been at the bottom of a jail.
If he were black, I see how I got away with that.
But guess what, though? If he were black,
podcast equality now. It's not waiting.
You're right.
It's not incremental.
You're right, brother. But here's what I'm saying to you. You're right that if he were black, he would have been treated totally different. But you know what? That would have been wrong. So hear what I'm saying. If he were black, he would have been treated wrong. But you can't flip it now and say, well, you know what? Then he's white, so he should be treated wrong. Because when you try to, and especially when you're trying to get towards equality, my brother, and I agree with you, you have to start with, and it's hard to do because tribalism, as Todd said, is easier to run to, right? We're angry, we're upset, we feel like we get slighted all the time. But if you're really trying to get to equality, you got to look at situations minus color. And I get that you're saying, well, you know what? If he were black, I agree. If he were black, he would have been put at the bottom of jail. He would have been arrested. No question.
If you look at situations minus color, it doesn't matter if the person who did the thing is black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, Arab, Eskimo. The result should be the exact same thing, and it is not.
But that's different.
I tell you this. There's a lot of during the protests, prior to the last election and stuff, everything that was going on, Black Lives Matter, the Proud Boys, Antifa, whatever. There are some black people who put their life savings into a business, and it was destroyed. I think if you own one of them businesses, you took your life savings after you retired and you opened up a business.
Bro, I got no love for shysters that police.
Let me finish. And if you had some company, you seen the person 2 doors down that got a brand new restaurant that they opened, put their life work and everything in it and burnt down, I think you would appreciate somebody that would stand out there, black, white, Puerto Rican, whatever.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
But hold up, but you can say that. You can say that, and not that I'm condoning burning shit down, but you can say that not having been oppressed over and over and over again, where you're just sick of shit.
Then go sick of shit.
But you can't just go and do illegal things.
Why would you tear my business down? That's stupid. Like I'm gonna tear down. Listen. I'm gonna tear down the one CVS in my neighborhood so that my grandmother, after this is over, can't fill her prescription. That's dumb.
So
absolutely dumb thought.
I think we're going way up. We're going way up.
We are.
I know we are. But
I would say this much: the people who when like it's going back to LA riots. I was watching this documentary that they have about Korean homeowners that actually.
They were violent to the people.
They were violent to people. Well, that were protecting their property with guns at one time. There's a story about that too. I don't blame them. It's your store.
I get that. That's
somebody trying to rob your store. A lot of times when these people do these riots, and they go, you say they tear up their own communities. All that. A lot of times it's the fact that they have no power. That's the only way that they can affect. They can
exactly.
They can do something.
But then dogs. But my thing is this.
Hold on. I want to respond to the Korean homeowners because in LA,
Korean store owners.
Hold on a second. I can't remember the exact case, but like right before the riot.
You mean the girl that got killed?
The
girl that got shot? Yeah, I remember that one.
Yes, and like the communities that's part of the memory of the folks, whatever ethnic group they are. That's part of their memories and their history, and that's how they encode it into their belief system, their world view, this, that, and the other. And I get it. I get it from. I'm a property owner. I get it from a property owner perspective. I want to be able to defend my property and have that be legal and just. But if there's other racist, however that plays out, if there's other racist historical things that happen, I can't just say, look at this situation where I was defending my property and I did all this other stuff and I killed somebody of a different race because I thought this, that, and the other, and that makes it okay. And then all of a sudden the riots happen. And I'm not saying that it justifies anything I do in the riots, this, that, and the other, but you have to take you have to see the entire context of the situation.
I agree, brother. I agree.
It justifies the anger. And the girl's name that goes.
Hold
on,
let Leon talk.
Let Leon say.
No, I'm saying y'all acting like all of the shit too that was burned down and whatever was owned by them. You know, the brothers and sisters in the community. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't all there. They didn't own all of it. And also going back to even the Watts riots, did the riots change stuff?
Nope.
Did it change? Did George Floyd? Did the George Floyd protests change shit?
Nope.
That one made
and those communities have not even.
It brought attention.
It
brought attention.
It changed a little bit.
It brought attention.
It
brought Black Lives Matter a lot of money.
Listen, as I'm sitting here talking, as I'm sitting here talking to a bunch of educated brothers, this isn't a mutually exclusive conversation, right? I'm not saying that I don't understand why people burn down communities. What I'm saying is, if you were sitting there trying to help people think differently, you can't burn down your community.
I
hear
what you're saying, Dave, but
do you think
a lot of times
do you think white people were impacted by that? Let's be honest.
Of course not.
No, they just sat and looked.
For the record, I want to say that rioting, burning down the stuff in which the community that you live is stupid as shit.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
You know what?
It's dumb.
I'm gonna tell you this. If you come in my neighborhood, to burn down, as black as I am, your black ass is gonna get shot.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
So that's a stupid thought.
Again, go ahead.
So let me a couple things. I agree with you saying that it's stupid for people to go rioting and what you call it. But you have to look at it from the standpoint of those people. And the guy and the girl who shot was Latasha Harling. She was shot in the head by a shopkeeper, and she was given
that.
5 years
in the
in
Korean
prison.
community.
And it just what's called
that,
it was
that I got
exacerbated.
Yeah. But I'm not, and I understand what I'm saying is I understand why they did it. I'm just saying I can't justify it.
No, I can't justify it.
I can't justify it either. But if we in it, like if we're in it, like when the riots or whatever thing was happening when Martin Luther King was killed. I mean,
it's anger.
Whole,
you don't know
emotion, the feeling, the anger.
It's powerless.
You
have to lash out something.
I understand.
And
I don't
lash
disagree.
Out something that's closest to you.
But I understand. I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying. Hey.
Let me try to clarify it. We understand the expression of anger, grief, and the emotions that you're going through at that moment in time. But if you sit back and you take the long view, or you take the perspective of how this stuff is going to get better over time, what you did just set you back.
Absolutely.
But you know what, too? But like the brother said, we're all educated brothers sitting up here on this cast. We're not even close to what the people in those communities who are doing this. We're just not there. So we can sit here and say this, but until we're in it, you know what I mean? We don't know.
Right.
You don't live in that community.
Remember, we're talking from I
just want to say, I'm not going to say that I condone it. I may understand the expression, but I also understand that expression is counterproductive to what you truly
That's
want.
what we're saying. I'm not saying that I'm not saying I'm not saying that if I'm not angry young man in that country.
No, we
in that
all are.
situation,
We all
yeah,
are.
we
Right.
wouldn't do the same thing.
We
I'm
all
just
are.
saying, looking
Every
back at
brother
right
on this
now,
chat.
yeah.
And
Hindsight,
I said this in the text. Grown man actions. If you're gonna take grown man actions, I don't care how old you are, expect grown men repercussions. Because
Yeah,
ain't
like
nobody
stealing
just
people's
I'm not
cars.
gonna let you
Yeah,
sit down
like,
here and burn my damn store, my
Yeah.
restaurant that I just put all my life savings in and burn it down.
I'm not gonna be happy.
No. Like
Well,
in
you
my
know what? That's
current
what you got
job,
insurance for,
in-
bro.
Grown man decisions come with grown man's consequences.
No,
Bro, just go ahead and file the claim.
In my current job, when I counsel my clients, like I always just break the options down to them. Like
Everything is a
what you can do. These are the consequences if you go a new day. You go with me, and you need to be a man or a woman, and you need to suck it up and take whatever the consequences, whatever choice you choose to make. It is what it is.
So I want to give Dave and Leon a chance to kind of to get their points of view on something that you talked about earlier. I know we were talking about we started out talking about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. I think that.
And hold up, that was 20 minutes from me. That whole thing was 20 minutes from me.
Oh, really? That's right, Virginia.
The courthouse
right,
is only 20 minutes from me.
So, all right. So let me. I want you to kind of give your perspective on it. What's your? Do you think that this was the? I won't say the end, but sort of the end of Me Too. Let's just say that the loss for Amber Heard, the fact that she has to pay.
No, I don't think it's
not the end. No, it's not the end.
I think he got the money because of the crazy shit she did.
Right.
I think that, and just the whole thing. I think that's the reason. And you know what? I live in here. I was like, why the hell is it here?
Why is it recorded? Why is it being streamed? That's what I couldn't figure out.
Because it's celebrity. It's celebrity.
Yeah, it's money.
And it moves the needle. It's money.
Right.
Everything.
But I don't think it's the end of Me Too. I just think it's just because of the way she was and how the people didn't like her and all
right.
that.
She wasn't approachable.
Yeah.
Johnny Depp was like the old washed up guy that people love now.
Yeah.
She seemed like the beautiful, crazy, blonde or redhead, whatever she may be. That's why she didn't get the empathy.
Yeah.
My opinion that
he effed up Aquaman.
That Hollywood culture.
I just thought we waste time. Like, why we following that?
They live a whole different type of. They divest of reality. They live a whole different type of thing.
Here's the thing. I say this. Hey, Todd, can we not waste time talking about those fools? Because that is just absolutely a waste of time, man. But
what was the second thing you
were talking about? The other thing we talked about for a little bit is Monique and DL.
I picked a side, so I picked DL side.
So tell me what happened. Can you refresh me a little bit? I saw a little bit.
So apparently they had a show in Detroit, Monique and DL.
Mm-hmm.
So going to the show, I guess Monique is under belief that she's the headliner. She gets there. Apparently she's not the headliner. DL's the headliner. She comes out and basically goes on a tirade, scorched earth tirade, and reads the riot act on DL, calls him, you're DL, all this other stuff about his dog, he's gay, and all this crazy stuff about him before he comes on. He comes on, performs after, he does the show afterwards. So her issue is apparently she thought, or at least, and they've been trading contracts. He sent his contracts, he's a headliner. She sent her contract that she sent, she's a headliner. She thought she should have been the headliner. But, apparently, she's been just really going off on him that he, about the fact that she's a headliner and she didn't go up first. And it's like it's interesting to see how someone who is talented as she is and has enough of a fan base keeps getting in her own way. I think
she's a woman scorned.
I think it's just scorched earth person. It's like I was getting
angry. He's angry at that.
I got a better analogy on streets. I got a better analogy. I gave an analogy earlier on the cast using The Rock and John Cena. No. I got an absolutely better one.
Yeah, better one.
Actually, yeah, that fits her situation to the situation of this person. So let's use Colin Kaepernick. We know that Brady allegedly is going to the Dolphins. So let's say the Dolphins decide to sign Colin Kaepernick, and Colin Kaepernick just signed thinking that he's going to start over Brady. Let's just use that. And then all of a sudden, the first game comes and Brady's on the field, and then he does the thing. He uses the scorched earth policy, to use your word, Street, to go off on Brady.
On Brady, right? And it's like first of all, you're not tackling the real problem.
No,
it's those promoters. You know, if it's legit, but the bigger issue I see is that when you see someone that always has problems with everyone.
Yeah,
you know,
it's common denominator.
It's right. Who's the common denominator? If I go to business with 5 people and the 5 businesses fail, and I blame all the 5 other people, who's the common denominator? It's you.
I mean, also, isn't it common sense? I mean, DL is still relatively out there. Common sense of Monique. She claims she's been blackballed by everybody. She hasn't even been on Netflix. She hasn't been on anything. Common sense to tell her that DL is the is the headliner. So that's pride on her. You know what I mean?
Stupid, of course, stupid.
Common sense.
But
she ain't got much common sense.
Clearly, she doesn't.
I mean, like my point was earlier that like DL has multiple streams of content coming out with like radio, streaming, podcasts, this, that, and the other. People will still hire him, and
he's relevant. He's still relevant.
Yeah, he's still relevant.
Exactly. Relevant is the word.
Whereas she has this disdain. Basically, she needs to create an opportunity where she can get her foot in the door and create new opportunity.
But but
why would you think? No. Why would you think when you get assigned to a new opportunity that you're the star? Why?
That's your ego. Because
it's ego.
That's ego.
And you see, it's a clear case of someone. It's a clear case of someone who's had the door open for them, and they immediately slam it on their own foot.
Yeah,
it's like
just like all the media with 50 Cent. When 50 Cent, I'm gonna give her a job.
Right.
Give her a job. Like, why do you even need to put all of that out there? You know what I mean? He wouldn't have to do that. It would, if there was anybody else who was like DL relevant, it would have been okay. DL is going to be on Power. But for Monique, it was all this whole media blitz. Yeah, I'm gonna give her a job. I'm gonna give her a job. I'm gonna give her a job.
She probably begged for it.
Whatever,
I know.
But
so go ahead.
Hey, DJ, let me ask you this: the sidetrack, because I was wondering this, and I'm not gonna let it go deep. You are based on the chat during the week? Are you a fan of Candace Olsen?
Candace
Owens?
Yeah.
Actually, I am.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Lord Jesus.
Oh my
God.
Lord Jesus.
I'm a fan of her. I'm a fan of her intelligence, her ability to articulate herself. Y'all keep going. This is my opinion.
Okay, that's all. I didn't want to. I didn't want to ask it there. I didn't want to ask it there. I just wanted to know.
Okay,
I'm curious.
I'm a fan of her ability to articulate herself. I'm a fan of her not being intimidated, not even being in front of Congress when people in Congress will have people with PhDs standing next to her who obviously have an agenda, and she shut them down. And I respect her intelligence, bro.
You know what though? You
never invite her to the View. They will never invite her to the View.
You know what I respect? I respect.
And we gonna pray. Because Candace Owens is a shield.
Here's what I think. I think she's smart too. But I gotta take it. I gotta take it to the Jedi level. The hustle in her is strong. That's all she is.
Right. I'm gonna keep repeating this. I'm gonna keep repeating this through this whole podcast. As somebody challenge my street cred. A hustler recognize a hustle. Like, you understand?
Come on, man. You gotta
you know. Doing, like, no. She doing her thing. And as somebody from the hood, that's a beautiful thing. Make that money, get that money.
Right. To me, I put her.
What you saying? Because
I put her in the hustler.
I'm not trying to make money and get money just for myself as an individual.
She's not relevant in my book.
I want to see my community progress.
Yeah,
but
on
I
her
respect
ability,
her hustle.
on her ability to articulate her opinion, and
I disagree.
Let him finish.
Who would you put? Who would you put up? Would you put Whoopi up against her?
No.
You got to go apples to apples, bro. You can't even do that. You got to go apples to apples.
No. What I would say, just from knowing I know from Whoopi historically, even though, how can I say it? Whoopi is in the industry, but I know that like sometimes certain situations have happened, and I've seen Whoopi hold to her individualistic values and principles. I've never seen Candace Owens do it.
I agree.
I would put Joy Reid up against her punk ass.
When she did not agree, where she went straight to the street and cursed somebody out too.
No, I'm not talking.
She ain't really from
DJ.
the street. She from Stanford, actually.
Yeah.
You want to go apples?
She's from the mean streets of Stanford.
Yeah, she ain't from the
street.
DJ. Let me
read what's like.
I know some dudes in Stanford. Don't get it twisted.
DJ.
No. But no,
listen.
You talking to brothers? You're talking to brothers from the heartbeat.
Yeah, come on, man.
Hey, are you a fan of Margie?
Know what I'm talking about.
Well, I'll just let
DJ. DJ, are you a fan? Forget about Candace. Are you a fan of Margie Taylor Greene?
No, I think she's a little crazy.
Yeah,
a little crazy.
You got limits, DJ.
I think she's a little crazy. No, I don't really. To be honest with you, I don't really pay attention to what she says. She is like the AOC or whatever of the Republican Party. She's
DJ, to quote one of my favorite scenes from a movie that had to deal with the sociological aspects of criminals, Con Air, when
Con Air,
black dude as Nicolas Cage, what was wrong with the Marianne?
One of my favorite movies.
Mariana Mangler, and he just said a lot. Like that's the way I feel about that.
The thing I see about with Candace Owens is she's a hustler. She know what size butters her bread.
Right.
Yeah, she
is smart. Instead of being a middle of the road liberal that would basically get no attention, she decides I'm going to be a conservative commentator and I'll be one of a kind.
Yeah.
I'll be like a unicorn. I will get lots of money.
What's the sister who was on Clueless who tried to do Stacey Dash? I like Stacey Dash.
Dash was the smart though.
Same shit.
I agree with her assessment of our education system and all that stuff. I agree with her 100%.
But that's not like, it's not like, but she ain't saying nothing that many other people aren't saying as well.
Exactly.
Has she written a treatise of how to fix it? She just said it's messed up. What's the difference?
Her assessment.
I get a wino to say the same thing.
No, her assessment of our educational system, did it add anything new and insightful that other people had already said? Or did it
it's a conversation?
But hey guys, can I say this?
It's a conversation we avoid. It's a conversation we avoid. It's a conversation we avoid, just like we avoid black on black crime.
No, hold on a second. Hold on a second.
We avoid black on black crime. Who deny it?
Oh, don't get me wrong.
I don't think we. What do you mean?
Just crime?
Ignore. We don't
avoid black on black crime. It's just crime.
We avoid Chicago. The conversation don't come up.
DJ, I say this to you.
Moving that.
Can I say this? Can I say something? Can I say something really quick?
Go ahead.
That's a big ass.
So here's why. Yeah, you know. First of all, Yeah, you can't. DJ, you're comparing. Hold on. You're comparing apples to oranges. It's not because white people like to use that quick about black people don't. They're not concerned with black and black crime. What the difference is? The difference is right. It's not right or wrong, but there's a reasoning behind a lot of the black and black crime. Right? It's retaliation. It's gang violence. It's this, that, and the other. There's as crazy as it may be. There's a logic to the madness. But when a cop decides that he wants to take the laws in hand, like the cop the other day, who shoots the brother in his head last year, right? After a police chase because he says he feels threatened, right? Because the guy pulls a knife out sitting in a car with you and 5 other cops around you with a gun. You shoot someone in the head. That's different. And we riot and make noise and we walk down the street because we feel like it's almost like you tie somebody up by the back of the hand and shoot them in the head and justify it. So it's not that we're saying, black on black crime in the streets are okay. No, but there is some logic to the madness there, right?
Okay. How do we rationalize DA Bragg? How do we rationalize District Attorney Bragg, who was just elected, who says it's okay for you to go into a bodega and pull a gun out somebody and rob them? Armed robbery is just a misdemeanor.
No. Wait a second.
Where's this?
Let me say this. No. It's not a fact on black crime. White on white crime happens all the time.
Yep.
It's just documented.
Crime.
No. Hold on a second. It's not documented. They
ain't on the level of Chicago.
They don't respond. Hold on a second. They don't respond and they don't bring it, and they don't bring a lot of stuff to the courts. It's a lot of coaches dropping.
Y'all saying that
and the other, and it does. It
DJ,
does not.
You're about to.
No. It does not get to that point.
That one person first, please.
No. No. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Like where I currently work, where stuff happens, where the population that I work with, that stuff gets reported. In other school districts, like where I live, stuff does not get reported. Police may be called, but kids are taken to their family. Stuff is like parents are talked to, resources are used, but it's no formal documentation of what actually has occurred.
And going on.
It doesn't mean that I'm not going to say that the incidents aren't exactly the same, but given the context, the severity and significance are pretty similar no matter where the hell you live. But as far as the documentation and the legal response and what happens to the people that allegedly perpetrate violations, the response is different. That's all.
Yeah. Okay, so y'all cool. Y'all saying that, so like DA Bragg in New York, him saying we're not going to prosecute people.
That's stupid. That's crazy.
No, I'm saying
rob you. It's a misdemeanor. You don't even have to show up to court.
No, I'm saying
that's cool. I'm saying
stuff happens in a certain community. People are spoken to, talked to.
They're handled different in the law, is what he's
saying. Yeah, and that's only one instance.
Wait, hold on a second.
What you mean one instance?
People are arrested, prosecuted, and legal action is taken. So therefore, the statistics look different. I'm not saying that the actions of crimes and misdemeanors are different. There's white collar crime and blue collar crime. Like white collar crime, you can rob and steal millions. You can steal $8 million and have to pay a fine for 1 million and get to pocket 7 million.
Hey, DJ.
Yes, sir.
As you mentioned, you said black on black. What do you think that the black community should do to address the black on black crime? What things?
That's a great question.
I'll give you my honest opinion.
I'm asking. That's what I'm asking.
I'll give you my honest opinion, bro.
What should the black community do?
Yeah. First of all, don't make armed robberies, assaults with knives, pushing people in front of subways and stuff. Don't make that I'm not really down with the Nobel. I understand the premise behind Nobel because poor people can't afford to make that. I understand the premise. Believe me, I do. But those people who are making crimes, repeatedly making crimes, and you find they have records, understand, I don't give a fuck whether they can make bail or not. Their ass need to be in damn jail, bro.
Okay.
I don't know about y'all, but I had intentions on it, but I ain't catching no damn subway in New York.
Wait, hold on.
But what that?
But that's not black on black crime. That's inner city crime, and that happens all.
You guys are all over the place, man.
Places.
Inner city. Hold up. Y'all getting it? Because I heard inner city, and then I heard all over the place.
Wait. Hold on.
Inner city and all over the place.
What I'm saying is that that's not.
Wait. Hold on a second. So armed robbery. Somebody can rob me. Say I got $300-400 on me. Somebody can set up a con, swindle me out of, let's say, $5,000-10,000. White collar crime. They get less time than the person that robbed me for $300 or $400. That's appropriate. No.
I'm not going to use the phrase white collar. You use the phrase white collar crime like only white people do that shit.
No, he didn't say that.
Wait. Hold on a second. White collar, blue collar
people do that.
No. White collar, blue collar. No. White collar, blue collar means working class, middle class, upper class. That's what that means. It'll have nothing to do with racial or ethnic background. So what I'm saying is somebody sticks me up. They could be white, black, Puerto Rican, Asian, Native American. I don't care what the fuck they are. Like, excuse my language. I don't care what they are. But if somebody calls me on the phone, sets up an email scheme, this, that, and the other, and they rob me of, let's say, 5,000 to 20,000 G's, they will get less time than the person that stuck me up.
You and you're right. And if they get caught, because most of it is coming from overseas.
You just went into a tirade about the stick up. You just went into a tirade about the stick up. I'm out less money.
You know what? Can I just say one thing? That to me, I really have a problem with saying black on black crime. It's just damn crime.
Right.
I mean, people commit crimes in the areas where they are with the people they are closest to.
Right.
So it's not like I'm a black person. I'm robbing the black person. No, I'm gonna rob who's close to me.
You asked a great question. You asked a great question.
You did.
DJ did not answer it, and we went off on a tangent all over the place.
What's the question?
What would you do about black on black crime?
What would you do about black on black crime?
Right.
It's crime. It's crime.
If these are people who are repeat offenders, repeat victimizers, yo, put them in jail. I fuck bail. Fuck that bail shit.
But what if they're not repeat offenders?
What if you ask me a question?
Let's go back to equality.
Let me finish. You ask me a question. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Because we have communities where when our kids get out of school, when I grew up, we could play in the damn streets. We can go to the park, we can walk down the store by ourselves, and mom ain't have to worry about me at 7, 8, 9 years old getting shot in the head with some bullshit rival stuff. But people out there doing that type of stuff. Black on black crimes. When I say black on black crimes, I'm talking about these people out here who are indiscriminately just shooting up and down the street and don't care who they hit, who they kill, and we got babies doing it, and it happens every week. Every damn multiple shooting Tuesday in Chicago.
What's the point? What's the point, DJ?
You're describing crime.
And DJ, you
what the hell with bail? Not what to do about
wait. No.
But okay, so wait. So DJ, wait. Let me finish. Two things.
Let's go back to school shootings. Let's go back to school shootings. How many black school shootings have happened in a predominantly black school where they kill multiple people? So we have Like when we grew up, nobody was coming into a school shooting up, just randomly going from classroom to classroom, killing teachers and kids. And primarily, let's just say,
hold on.
I'll be happy to
Get back to the original question.
Yeah, what are we talking about?
Get back to the original question.
No, but he was talking
one question
about,
at a time.
no.
Yeah, we get
I'll
way
be glad
off
to
base.
answer that question. Why it don't happen?
Hold on a second. He was
Why it
making an
don't happen
argument
in the
about
cities?
black
Why
on black
crime. Why somebody don't come into a school in the inner cities and try to do multiple shootings? Man, please, because you got guns in school too, bro.
No, oh my
God.
Well, hold on.
So here's my point.
I'm gonna give y'all 5 more minutes of logical
Yeah, we got
before I get off this phone.
We're
getting way
We
off.
had this conversation online because we was talking about safe zones and stuff like that. I don't know who it was, Mike or it might have been abstract.
No, I'm not talking about that. You talking about like when we grew up. When we grew up, people didn't do that stuff. They haven't done that stuff. They still haven't done that stuff in our community. They're doing it in certain communities, but I don't hear you saying that that's such a tragedy. When we do it individualistically,
I think black people have more respect
in our communities, it's horrible. But when white folks decide to nut up, go into a school, kill innocents, and
not
just
white people,
randomly,
not just white people, bro.
No.
There you go again. What the dude down in Texas, was he white?
He's Hispanic.
The dude.
Yeah, are you talking Oklahoma? You're talking Oklahoma, DJ?
No, the kid in Texas.
Texas. He was Mexican.
It was he
Mexican?
Was he white?
He was Mexican.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
But DJ,
that's DJ's point.
DJ, let me ask you this. DJ. You said, okay, if they are repeat offenders, you would. I'm going back to the original question of what would you do about black on black crime? If it was just what if it was a mother who robbed, who needed money for or whatever to feed her kid, and she robbed another black person? You gonna send her to jail forever?
Who does that? I don't know if anybody who
if they're desperate. When the last time you've been poor?
Get jail for even get any jail. If anything, it's a civil.
But I'm saying you're talking about locking folks up or whatever. What if you're talking about black on black crime? What would you do to eliminate black on black crime? Other than keep folks in jail. It's already enough of us in jail.
Your example is a bad example because that's just we all get robbed by relatives and everything.
No. But
DJ,
the question is, what would you do about black on black crime? If you keep bringing it up, what would you do?
The reason why I was bringing that up, DJ, the question is that
if you're a career criminal, and especially if you're one known for being a shooter, killing people indiscriminately, just shooting at your pop or whatever, and killing little babies, your ass don't need to get no bail, and your ass need to be in jail.
Well, I got you, but
so you're saying more policing.
My solution.
So you're saying more policing, basically, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
More jails, more.
But it ain't the
bigger
answer because they can't be everywhere. They not.
You know what? I'm gonna give you my quick solution, or not even solution. Maybe help. My solution would be to get to the point of why there are multiple offenders, or why are they even doing that? Why are they criminals in the first place? If they're in the hood and they poor, why are they poor? Why is it generational poverty going on in the hood? You know what I mean? That's probably my solution, to try to figure that out, not to try to keep them in jail forever and ever and ever. That's just me.
Hold on a second. I want DJ to answer this question.
Stop voting the same people in office making us promises.
I want DJ to answer this question. Like, we act like white on white crime doesn't exist. White on white crime. No, hold on a second. White on white crime does exist, but the legal response and the consequences attributed to the criminal actions are significantly different and less to what happens with black on black crime.
Right. In the black community.
What do you say to that?
You're wasting. You're wasting time. I don't want to. I don't want to hear DJ's point on that because it's not going to be.
I think the main thing that we're leaving out,
but
I think the main thing that we're leaving out that a lot of these situations is poverty. That's the reason why a lot of these things happen.
No, but you know what, Aaron? But yeah, but I think you were about to touch on that really.
Well, no.
You were about to touch on that good point.
My point is, crime is crime, and when the legal system decides to turn a blind eye to certain crimes, whether it's socioeconomic status, whether it's race and gender, but decides to take a more hard-nosed approach to crime related to certain races and to certain economic status, that is like, as I said before earlier in this cast, equality is equality.
In the black community, the way American justice system deals with crime is they deal with the symptoms and not the cause. In the white community, they deal with the cause. So if the situation happens, if we're just summarizing it that way, right? And so
you're talking about Oxycontin and crack.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a really good correlation. So it's Oxycontin. We need to treat these people as sick.
Absolutely.
They need treatment.
They're human beings.
We need to lock their ass up.
They're monsters.
And locking more people up creates
revolving door. Just continue on that. Take crack and cocaine. With the 80s,
corporate jail. Put my brothers in there.
Exact same chemical. Very good.
I agree with that disparity.
You know what I mean?
But I do think there is a distinct evidence of poverty, and I think if you look at a lot of these cases, a lot of these crimes are happening in Chicago. You have dysfunctional systems, and you have a lot of poverty, and that's what helps contribute to it.
Right.
And I don't think it's locking them up.
Some of their dysfunctional systems for me.
No.
But I'll say this though,
Todd. Homes, lack of jobs.
I'll say this though. I'm gonna say this though. I get this, right? I'll say this.
Easy access to guns.
I'll say this. You gotta. Can I say this though? And I know, I may be in the minority. No pun intended here. As you try to, your mom when you were kids, right? You got an apple in a bunch or two, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes, or you got a wound. Let's just say you got a wound. It's festering. Sometimes you got to cut out some good skin, right? To make sure you cut enough of it out. So I am not one of the believers that says, okay, you grew up in poverty, you keep robbing people, so we shouldn't lock your ass up forever. Right. I am one. There's some people. Wait. No. There's some people. There's some people, some situations where you cannot save them anymore.
Yep.
And they need to be helped. They need to have the law in a strong way enforced against them. Okay.
Absolutely.
As you're doing that, you have to pluck some dangerous people out of the way. You can't just say, well, you know what? You were poor all your life, so guess what? Even though you just shot this person and two other people, I'm not locking you up forever. Look at that dude who just got out a couple of days ago, right? He was in jail for murder somewhere, I don't know where it was. Got out, went into a house, killed 5 people, and then got into a shootout, right?
Yeah.
He gives them cops. There's some people who are dangerous enough and not savable in this system. Yeah. So as you're trying to correct at one end, you still have some people that need to be locked up. Yeah. but what I'm saying is it has to be done fairly, right? It's not like you're just you still got to deal with the root cause while you're plucking some of the dangerous off the street. But it's not just one situation where, okay, you're black and poor, so let's just keep giving you opportunities to keep robbing me.
I mean, it's almost like a drug. Like if you multiple offender or whatever, and you get out, and then you go back into you're gonna be a repeat offender. You gotta you gotta get to the root.
All right. So you keep giving them bail?
What'd you say?
You keep giving them bail?
No, that's not
man. You okay.
So DJ, say you lock them up, right? Somebody, I don't know, armed robbery, hit someone in the head, robs them, right? You lock them up, give them 10 years, put them in prison, chain gang, right? Make them do all the time, right? What happens when they come out? 10 years old, they ain't got no job, do the same thing again.
If you go to jail in Rikers, you ain't gonna be the same person mentally when you come back.
You're right. You're right. You know what? You're right. You know what? And you're back in the community. Then what?
More dangerous.
Then what? You're more dangerous. You know what they call Rikers? You know what they call Rikers? They call it gladiator school.
Every day you're gonna be worse, bro. And just your deprivation of being in regular society and having to deal with just being on your on your P's and Q's because you don't know who coming at you for whatever reason.
But hold up. But he asked you when you come out. When you come out,
my statement is that if I knock someone in the head and rob someone, I do 5 years or 10 years, or how many years I come out, and I've been in prison, living in or jail, Rikers Island. I come out of jail. I've learned nothing. I've got no new skills. I got a record. I got a felony. What do you think I'm going to do when I come out? You see what I'm saying? I mean, exactly. you it's a system. So yeah, okay, yeah, you're gonna get those people off the streets, but you're gonna have people that come out because again, if you give someone
victimize again,
if you come and victimize again, you're gonna have a prison's gonna be full of people, and when they get full of people, what happens? They're gonna letting people out.
Right.
And then when you're letting people out who are violent, that didn't learn anything, didn't get any skills, didn't get anything that really helped them become a better person or help themselves in any way, they go right back to it. So I don't know if locking up is the best answer either.
Last I heard, they can get a degree in prison.
No, earlier in the cast, earlier in the cast, I always said that, like when George Floyd, when that event happened and the movement happened, and people were talking about defund the police, I was like, I'm not for defund the police. I'm for proper policing.
Right.
I think that policing, like, they need to be trained better, they need to respond better. Absolutely. Their responses need to be equitable across all racial and ethnic groups. And the legal system response needs to be equitable the same.
I agree. We all agree.
And again, DJ, going back to what you said about, okay, what if they do get a degree and they come out and go back into the same shit they were in? Nobody wants to hire them or whatever. Like you gotta get into the neighborhood and start like fixing the shit. So when they come back, they have something to go back to.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
It's almost, if I can make the analogy, it's almost like how we're talking about dealing with guns, and guns ain't going away. Guns ain't going away.
Right.
And certain people, and especially people, I can't even say that. I can't even say just especially people of color. It's poor. We always want to get rich quick. People don't want to work for their shit.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
I disagree with that. I disagree with that, man. People work hard. They just
like incarceration is supposed to teach people how to be reformed so that they can be contributing members to society. And then I don't know exactly when it happened. Incarceration just became punishment, and you were just in there to be punished, and there was no reform, and there was no plan for when you got out that you were going to be a contributing member to society and add to the greater good. It was just punishment, and it was just a stain.
The business.
You were always going to be an industrial complex.
Second class. You're always going to be a second class or subpar participant in whatever society, in this society, in American society that you were in.
Yeah, just build more jails.
Yeah. I know.
Why do you think people don't want to work?
Why people don't want to work?
You just said people don't want to work for the
Great resignation.
They can make money quicker. They can make money and more money on the street. They'd rather be on the street and make $1,000 a day than make $30 a day at McDonald's.
Yeah, a kid that I know that's let's see, he's about 13, kid of color. Not giving any ethnic back information. His plan was he wanted to just sell weed. That was his life goal, and it was epiphany to him when one of my colleagues said, "Well, you know that's legal now in this state, and you can do it legal."
Yeah,
it was a fucking epiphany.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you know what, DJ? But you know what, DJ?
You can have a store, you can do this, that, and the other. You can have a lounge where people come in and smoke. He had no idea.
But you know what, DJ? I lost my chance.
Give him credit for having a dream and aspiration. He was basing it on the community he knew, right?
Definitely. But I'm like, I'm glad that like he listens to folks like me and my coworker, where he will listen and we can plant them seeds so that he doesn't have to go about the
plant them seeds.
Again, yeah. I think
and them seeds they grow.
I think the black on black crime thing is a lot like the gun thing.
That peer pressure in our community is strong. When you in high school, man, and you seeing and especially if you come from a impoverished home or whatever, man, and you see some kid, one of your peers, and he got hundreds of dollars in his pocket, and he wearing all this jewelry and everything. The kid who has this, he show up to school. He probably may not be going to classes, but he got all the chicks. He got a ride out there. He ain't even got a license, but he got a damn ride. That peer pressure is a mother, bro.
Well, you know what?
There's still money in the dope game. I thought it dried up a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we all
it ain't like it used to be.
I mean, I remember like when we in the 80s and mid 80s and the early 90s. Like
that's when the dope game was big.
Yeah, no. In the rap hip hop, in the rap hip hop game, like there was a phrase like down by law. Like there's a legitimate way. There's a legitimate way to do it, and there's a way to do it where you can make money and you can be legitimate, and it's cool, and that's what you need to do, and you can make a business. But there's also other ways that you can do it where you're not gonna have the longevity. And when we were coming up and we were teenagers, like everybody wanted to be down by law. They wanted to have record labels, this, that, and the other. They wanted the legitimate money. And I don't know if I don't know if this generation necessarily understands that concept, but maybe it's up to us to kind of reinstill that and reteach that concept. But we need to do it. We need to do it.
It's such a different generation now. I'm telling you.
Totally.
I don't even think the dope game is that profitable no more. I remember in the 90s, dudes would be posted up. They'd have the brand new Volvos with the rims on it and all that.
They got the Cherokees.
Yeah, the Cherokees and all that. I don't see that anymore. I don't really see that. No. You know what I mean? The dope game is the dope game money is dried up. You can make a little money.
There's the weed game. There's more than.
Yeah, but even that, you're not making big money out of that.
No.
I drove around in a hoopty. I looked nice when I got out of it, but I shoot, man. My car, man. I had a cassette player as my radio. I ain't have no real cassette in the car. I had a portable cassette sitting on the dash.
Just to bring it all home, I'm just thinking that the root of our evil is money.
It is.
We're not out there trying to kill people, just randomly kill people. The root of our evil is money. It's always been money because we never had money. We had money in the other country where we were from. We have no money here. We weren't brought here with money. So that's always been the root of our evil. And it will continue to be until till there's our systems in place to get us out of generational poverty.
Yep.
Well, I think the root of our evil is we're not trying to build. We got away from having a culture and a society, even through slavery, even through Reconstruction, even through the early 1900s. We had a culture, we had an identity, we had a sense of who the hell we were as a people. We don't got that no more.
And we even had a Wall Street. White folks burn that shit down.
It's wide open, and it's unfortunate. Like, and I think that everybody on this, I think everybody that I'm talking to right now, we are on the tail end of that fading memory of what it was to have that.
Yeah, it took me a while.
No matter how many kids, teenagers I talk to, that I try to instill that with, because it's not their day-to-day reality, it's just me telling stories.
Yeah.
Anything
that we get,
it's a symptom. You know, there's a saying that says, like, you know, when America has a cold, black people have the flu. We're so ingrained into America that we've lost our unique culture. You know what I mean?
I mean, we can't even keep our shit. Like, whenever we get something, make it good, make it profitable. White people come in and buy it, and we sell it. We can't even keep it because it's the money.
Yeah.
Well, it's the knowledge of money, really, right? It's how the
it's
the knowledge of money.
Right. That's a good point, Les.
Go ahead.
That's a good point. Hey, but what did you guys think about the whole Juneteenth situation at Walmart? Did you guys talk about that? What
was the story with that?
Well, some white guy.
Talk, and then let me speak last, because I'm gonna give you a interesting.
Go ahead.
I
don't know
what happened. I don't know about that. What happened?
Yeah, it's apparently, some entrepreneur, white guy, tried to trademark the Juneteenth, the name Juneteenth, into like fragrance and stuff, and Walmart was actually going to carry a line of products for it until some folks started to make some noise about it, and Walmart pulled it.
Yeah, didn't they have like a ice cream or something?
Different flavors with all the different flavors.
Why did this person even care? Why this person even care?
Well, because the idea was the exploitation of something that represented people of color.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Making money off it. But I was kind of, when they said, hey, we're gonna make Juneteenth a holiday, and everybody said, well, did we really need a holiday? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I would rather see something substantial that helps poor people or people of color than say, hey, give us a holiday day off. Come on, man. What kind of bullshit is that? It's just one damn day to throw a party, and then you can sell us. That's it. I mean, sell us more shit that we can buy. It's like, come on,
everything
really?
we do is exploited. I mean, look at you see all the rap cereals and shit, and all of our old school raps in these commercials now. I mean, freaking Rob Basin and Eminem commercial. It's all
leave rap snacks alone.
It was pandering with the politicians. That all it was pandering.
Wait, I'm gonna show you something. That's what I was talking about.
I want to say, I love my educated brothers, because y'all are the few people that I can actually say the shit that how I was raised. Yes. Yep.
So it's the thing. Juneteenth ice cream. It to me it bothers me that it's not cultural. It's a commodity. You know what I mean? Buy the Juneteenth ice cream. Get the new T-shirt. Come on,
I mean,
man.
think about all of the commercials.
Let me give you a history lesson. Like my family has roots in Texas. I have ancestors that were freed during the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st. That's the day that I celebrate. I refuse to celebrate. Juneteenth. That's the way my mother raised me. She grew up in Texas. She was born in Texas. Some of her older brothers and sisters were born in another state in the South, but she was ashamed of the holiday, and this is what she taught us. She was ashamed because after the Emancipation Proclamation, our ancestors worked almost 2 full years of indentured servitude, slavery, however you want to phrase it, before they found out they was free. And it for her, it was celebrating
I agree.
Black ignorance and white supremacy.
I agree, brother.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
I'll say this before I go.
As an American,
so Rod, are you not?
Maybe Texas should have celebrated.
As an American, I acknowledge the holiday, but as a Black American who has roots in Texas, I refuse to celebrate it. And me and my siblings,
makes two of us.
But
me
again,
and my siblings, we absolutely refuse. I am not going to work on Juneteenth.
I was going to ask that. Were you going to go to work?
Yeah. It's political pandering. It's political pandering.
Right. Because
that's all it was.
And when did this happen? Right after George Floyd. It's the whole thing, whole same thing that at Jesse and what you call it, you're making enough noise, you rattle tree enough, they'll give you something to shut you up.
Yeah, and even all the stuff with George Floyd with exploitation.
Right.
I mean,
it's performative. A lot of this crap is performative. That's what I didn't like. I didn't like all
white folks that I work with. When I say that, like if black folks ever get reparations, I want 2 extra years when my ancestors in Texas worked during slavery, because if I know 2 extra years, ever get reparations, I want that interest. I want it all.
All of it.
Oh man!
All right, y'all.
I'm dead
so many mixed races. So we done mixed the race up so much. You know how many people get reparations, bro? Please, you think we in inflation now? About that. You think we in inflation now? You get reparations.
If black folks ever get reparations, my ancestors worked 2 extra goddamn years in slavery. Was free, and I want that money, and I want the interest.
You asking for seconds? I want seconds.
Hey, I say this. You know what? I say this.
You think gas and meat and everything costs more now? You try to pay out that reparations and see how inflation.
I'll say this real quick before we get off. I'll say this. If I were a white person and I wanted to really destroy the black race in this country, I'd just throw them a whole pot of reparation money and say, y'all figure it out. We would kill each other over $1.
Yeah.
But you know what the thing is though? Here's the thing. What happens? Okay, they give us reparation. They go, okay, here, take it. Now you get nothing.
Yeah.
We're not doing nothing. We don't care.
Don't come back and argue with us.
We'll give each you $10,000, but we give you nothing else.
$10,000. $10,000 is the value that's owed.
Yeah,
if they give you 10 grand and then they raise your taxes to 11 grand.
Right, exactly.
No. Don't bring up that slavery shit no more.
Yeah, don't bring it up no more.
Think about it.
All right, fellas.
Hey man, good conversation.
All right, fellas. Good conversation. I appreciate all you stopping by.
I'm headed up there tomorrow.
I'll try to
bro.
If we did
get, thank you.
You gonna be up in tomorrow, Leon?
Hey,
when you
one day we gotta get together like Buffalo Wild Wings or something.
What about Sean party? Sean have a party birthday party every year.
Oh yeah, he has something coming up in a couple.
That's right. Yeah.
Right?
I'll actually be back then too. I'm coming up at least every 2 to 3 weeks. I'll be up there.
All right.
We start show up at Sean party.
That's a great idea. We should do that, man.
All right.
Yeah,
all right, fellas.
All right, y'all. Y'all take care.
All right, y'all.
Good night.
All right.